stupid.
And your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
Yo.
Let's go.
Thursday.
I love that pre-show. I can't wait until we get that new rock song from that new metal song. We interviewed someone yesterday that was like, they had this private AI LLM that could like create music and images, and the chat was like, we should get a song for MCG.
I hate AI generated music, bro. I just
no.
hate it. Yeah, you like it? Oh, I think it's so corny.
I think it can be solid. It can be solid.
Oh no, dude. You're an AI slop song enjoyer.
I got
crazy.
one-shotted by AI, so my music taste needs to be AI generated.
Yeah, man, we got a great show today. That pre-show does get me going. Makes me want to run through a wall. I'm just Cody, man. Let me be me, bro. Love it, dude. I love Cody. But yeah, dude, so all is well. We got a great day. It's a beautiful Thursday. Got my boy Chill with me. New PFP in the building, the hoodie-o.
Come on now. You see it. Shout out the boys from Hoodie-o, man. Like, we literally asked them for that on the Monday interview, and by Tuesday they were like, here you go. So I appreciate you guys. Sick PFP. Little edit, no, little edit, but guys, we got 3 minutes till our first interview. Let's just run through real quick the show. Let me pull up the stream schedule for Dodo and Thursday. All right, so we got comic book ICM coming up at 12:30. We have Agent C coming in at 1:15, and that's our guys from Tetsuo. Interesting one there. And 2 p.m. we have Tibber. And this isn't the team from Tibber. We know that there's no team per se, but there's a crack community member from Tibber that will
They'll break it down.
yeah, they'll go ahead and
Everyone
break
said
it down.
Wax got the lore. So, even to further elaborate on this, right? Comic Books has worked with Collector Crypt. I even saw Super Team USA reposted them the other day. So we got Andrew coming through to talk to us about that and just what's going on there. Of course, we know the TCG meta has been super hot. So it's like, where does this go? And this was always like an early thesis when we talked to Collector Crypt in the early days before it was popular. The conversation was, okay, this is a really cool idea. You're pioneering this RWA, real redeemable backed RWA sphere. And, where do we take this? And this is, also we had them again back on right after Miami Accelerated, where they announced their relationship with comic books, and, what that was to look like. And my question to the team was, where do we go from here? And it's like, okay, trading cards was a start, but we can do really whatever your imagination desires. Like we can do comic books, we can do whatever. And so it's building this entire collector's, world out. So comic books will be a really interesting conversation just to see like where that market's headed. I'm not a comic book reader. I don't know much about comic books. So like the full summary, the full lore, where's the comic book market headed? What has TCG done for comic books? Yada, yada, yada. Again, like Chill said, agency coming on the most recent Pump Fund Hackathon winner. So they bagged 250K. They were the final winner from the Pump Fund Hackathon. Of course, we're going to ask about the ace round. We're going to ask about the relationship with Elon Musk because I have a stat here. Okay. According to a good friend, Cryptor, he said they have had 67 quote tweets from Elon Musk and 52 replies from Elon Musk. So like, what the heck is the relationship? I'm sure you've seen him retweet some of the Tetsuo stuff, which is crazy. And then like Chill said, we got Whack coming on to break down Tibber. This is the guy. I've been searching hard, like high and low to find the Tibber guy because with Robinhood really blowing up, we know this Ribbit Capital or Tibber backwards is Ribbit. Apparently, Ribbit Capital has a relationship with Robinhood. They bailed them out in the early days, back when Robinhood was Cash Cat. If you know the lore, you know the lore. And they soft launched, stealth launched this Tibber token, and there's a lot of lore to back it up. And I've seen these massive articles. Like there's just so much, so much content. I'm like, this is overwhelming. I can't go through it all. So Wax and come down, give us the auditable version of that. So yeah. How you boys doing? Who we got today? Top Fumbler Maru, the gang. By the way,
GMCG Maru. Look, guys, I'll check your DM, by the way, Dom. Guys, real quick, before we get started with our first interview, I want to go and just do our, you already know what we got to do. So, some housekeeping, just some regular stuff that we got to do every single stream. Let's go to @MCG Live real quick. @MCG Live. We're here Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. A little late start today. Don't worry about it. It's all good. We appreciate you guys being here. There's 100 people in here, so let's all go to MCG Live. Make sure we're hitting follow. Scroll down. Appreciate you guys for almost 12.4K.
About a follower away. Someone push us over.
Can someone just real quick just tell a friend to tell a friend?
Refresh. Just refresh.
Yeah, just let's see real quick. Let's just tell someone real quick to follow MCG. We'll get there by the end of the stream. By the end of the stream, we'll get there. Go down to our pinned tweet with our schedule. And I want you to do two things. You already know, like, retweet. There you go. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get that housekeeping done real quick. But outside of that, let's go ahead and get started with our first interview of the day here. And let's go ahead and invite our boy up.
Let's talk about comic books. Chill, are you a comic book guy before we even pull up Andrew here? You are?
Yes.
Okay, what's the comic book of choice?
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me back up. My best friend is a comic book guy. I'm personally, I'm not into comic books, but I use him to tell me about what comic books have you read? What's the most exciting? And there is an entire community of people out there like that. Just they love the comic book scene. You know what I mean? Whether it's anime, whether it's Marvel comics, and you can ask people about so many questions. And, they really love that. They really love that scene. Personally, I'm not a comic book guy. I read some mangas here and there. But there's a lot of people that do. So, yeah, this is I'm excited to talk about this because this is almost like the TCG meta is almost like a natural fit for comic books.
Absolutely. Okay, sorry, I got to get this sent out to the right people. Josh, sorry, I did not add you to the agency chat. Pump Fun set that up and I just didn't. I'm not in there. Nonetheless, let's talk. You're right, Chill. There's a lot of lore. All my friends do the comic books. And so they do the comic books and then they watch like the Marvel movies and they're like, oh, this was in the comic book or this was in the comic book. I wish it
that.
And like out of my expertise, but let's figure it out, man. Today, let's understand the market. Let's see how comic books is positioning. Crazy handle, by the way. Like that's just OG lore. So let's get to talking. Andrew, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here.
Dude, we're excited to chat today. Learn all about comic books. As you probably heard, before we came into, you got the Spider-Man in the back, and I love it. We're not comic book guys. Like you're the expert here. We're like the pupils, just trying to understand. So we're definitely in for a learning experience. Comic book. How did you guys get that handle? I just want to start there because that's like OG. Yeah, insane.
I mean, so comic book as a company in its current form goes back to around 2007, 2008. When, obviously comicbook.com as a domain always existed. But that's when it became kind of a media company that produces 70 to 100 pieces of independent editorial and content covering all things kind of geek and fan economy over the years. And so they just, first movers on different domains and handles. And at the end of the day, when you produce that scale of original content, on really the best domain, you build up a really important asset. And that's what the partners have done. And so I joined the company back in January. I will asterisk that I'm definitely, I know more about comic books than the average person for sure. But I'm also coming in on the business, go-to-market, comms, crypto side of things. So if you want to do a deep dive show with the core experts, we can definitely set that up. And obviously I can fill you in plenty.
Are you a comic book guy yourself?
Totally. I've been engaging with, at the end of the day, like comic books and the fan economy, comic books is like a really core form factor in storytelling within the whole fan economy space. Pokemon, it started like the cards kind of took a different direction but it's all fan economies. Mm-hmm. It's all world building and metaverses. And so, I've been a massive Spider-Man, Superman, Batman fan since I was young and read comic books growing up. Never became a super deep avid collector of comic books. But definitely it's a part of my nostalgic tie to the 90s and the 2000s as a lot of these things are for us.
Got you. Yeah, so let's talk about this. You guys specialize in the fan economy is what you kind of keep going back to. And, it's like building, supporting this fan economy, the fandom. We know like how important it is and, valuable these economies are. What happened for you guys, right? You guys partnered with Collector Crypt. Where did you see like the direction of this market going? And like, where does the value of this fan economy, you have the value of this fan economy. How do you, I guess, route this to kind of TCGs, gotchas?
TCG and sports cards, like these things have been assets, for a long time. And once 2019 COVID time hit, there was just this massive bull run in these assets. And in my personal opinion, I think it's strongly tied to just like an inflation debasement trade across the board. Because that was also the original thesis of crypto and crypto native assets. Partly a hedge against the kind of like fiat money and where we all feel like that's directionally headed. And so in terms of like, where do you store wealth? Like, how do you engage in the future? Like, I think cards, comics, collectibles, like it's a key way to like be strategic and de-risk your wealth and your capital across different asset classes. And I think crypto's key moment is deeply tied to the TCG stuff, because these cards and these comics are basically like limited supply, physical, like tied to like moments in history. That was kind of the whole thesis of the original NFT stuff. It's just like that was digitally instantiated on the chain. And so this is like kind of, the technology really unlocks these cards and these comics in a way that wasn't possible before. And we can get into that. I mean, you've gotten into that plenty on your shows of why these gotcha machines are interesting relative to,
Well,
IRL
it's
pack opening.
it's kind of a full circle moment for me because, I was here back in the NFT days, and I remember Disney had their own NFT platform. I forget the name, and they would sell like, 999, 1,000, 10,000, basically digital NFT comic books, right? And I would buy some of the Spider-Mans, or I'd buy like the Disney licensed characters. And I remember this being like a pretty big thing for a while until, of course, it did the NFT thing and just faded out. And so it is a bit of a full circle moment because I knew nothing about comic books, but there was a moment in time where I was like doing research on the most expensive and rare comic books and like getting in early to these drops. So we've kind of come full circle moment. Why is it important to have, a gotcha machine or like a digitally stored version of these comic books that are rare, historical, collector's items that people can have?
Yeah. Well, I mean, why is it important? I think a core reason that this stuff is really a better experience is because when you do IRL pack openings, you're usually not going to get like a big hit. You sometimes do. Even when you get a big hit, you still have to go through the process of grading the asset. And that takes 6 weeks. It takes time. It takes money. Yeah, you have to invest. There's all these upcharges. And so this idea that you can do a pack opening experience and guarantee yourself a graded asset is like really a step. Like it's really interesting. And crypto and this gotcha machine implementation enable you to do that. And so there's all these, I think, small things, it's instant, the instant liquidity on the buybacks, the secondary marketplaces where you can just buy something and you own it within like 20 seconds. Like it's a better experience for an asset class that is kind of adjacent to crypto and NFTs. And so I think the form factor is good. There's upside potential, which crypto retail wants. But there's also the floor where you're not going to you're not going to get rugged. Yeah. You might get something at expected value, a little bit below expected value. But then there's like the other conversation of like, these are interesting long-term assets to hold. Like if I have a 1963 Spider-Man comic book, in 2050 and 2060, 70, like I would have a lot of confidence that would maintain and grow its value over time, versus a lot of other things that, in crypto, it's hard to have a time horizon that's more than 5 years.
And I know, Chill, you have a question here, but I do want to ask real quick, what does the like historical market of comic books look like? We know for Pokemon, it's been like, it's outperformed the S&P. If you were the kid that bought his favorite Grail cards, like you're looking really, really good financially. It's just like jumping leaps and bounds. Is it similar with the comic book market, or are we maybe still in the like early stages of that picking up? Like what's your
well, I mean, we're in the earlier stages. It's very Grail heavy. There's not a lot of liquidity in marketplace, like volume at the lower ends of the comic book market. In a lot of ways, like, the gotcha stuff is really adding momentum and velocity and like buying volume on TCG. And comic books, they're bigger. They're double or triple the cost to ship. They take up more space and storage. And so there's some reasons why TCG is like a better asset for the model. Because there's these little teeny tiny cards. In comic books, grading the whole book, like it's more effort and resources. And but that doesn't mean that they're not better long-term storage of value relative to cards. And so I think it's like we're in the earlier stages of comic books seeing that type of volume that cards are. But I do think the gotcha stuff is a new, I don't know if I would call it like a pillar of commerce, but like it's a new way that people are going to shop online. Gamified shopping, live shopping, like these are all like things that are starting to get some like real momentum into the mainstream. So it's definitely here to stay.
So actually touching on that, is it getting momentum into the mainstream, or are a lot of these traders like I look at Collector Crypt and they do incredible revenue, incredible numbers, and it's like off a subset of like 1,000 users. They have a very financialized core user base. And I've also been tracking the numbers, and it seems like when the market picks up, actually some of those users maybe go trade the market, and there's a little less volume in Collector Crypt. Who are these users? Are these actually avid collectors, or are these, you know, hyper gamblers who are traders maybe as well, and they just come here because it's on chain? And like, who is the
I think we're in the early stages of breaking through to the collectors audience, honestly. It's still a heavy crypto native thing to like crank volume like that. That's just like it's a crypto thing to do that. But again, it's like the reason that this I think is going to hit is because the pack opening experience is the same thing. Like you're going to a card shop and you're spending money on a pack, like not exactly to gamble, to like open it up and like see what you get, and it's fun. And sometimes you get like a hit. Most of the time you don't. I feel like I'm really unlucky on like IRL pack. That's been my experience. That's my yeah.
At least you're authentic.
So I mean, you know, but again, every now and then you get a hit, but like sometimes you buy a whole box and like you get like nothing. So it's just like a part of the game. And bringing it digitally and calling it a gotcha machine, like it's not that different. It's about like consumer behavior change takes time. And I think we're seeing it happen, and it takes time. I do think the marketplace is a better probably go-to-market for the entire vertical to collectors, because you get exactly what you want. And honestly, it's an amazing experience. You buy it, it's like in 20 seconds, boom, you own it, it's yours, it's insured, it's in the vault. You can have it shipped to you if you want, or you can just like have your collection, and then, you know, maybe you can take a loan against it. And so I do think that this is the first breakthrough use case of crypto, because it has real reasons why it's better, as opposed to other cycles where there was a narrative, but the narrative didn't reflect really that crypto made that thing better.
My hot take is that the Trojan horse of like TCG and gotcha right now is the marketplace rather than just like the gotcha machines, because based on these conversations I've had, just like the other options are illiquid, expensive, and just terrible. It's like, why don't we have a market that's dedicated to this, like this vertical, this niche, that's not going to charge us fees like eBay? You know, we're going to have something stored in a secured vault, insured, you know, graded. It just makes a lot more sense. And I think that's kind of like the Trojan dark horse of this whole TCG thing is like the marketplace, honestly. And it hasn't seen a lot of the attention I think that's going to.
Totally.
Do you think that like this is kind of the early start to tokenizing like all collectibles, like anything from comic books to TCG to watches to paintings? Like I know that was like a huge wave back in the NFT days. Like that was a huge narrative, like, oh man, we're gonna like put an NFT to make it represent a painting or a watch or something like that. But just the infrastructure wasn't there. The idea and the thought behind it was directionally correct, but just the actual infrastructure wasn't there. But now we have stuff like Collector Crypt and, you know, the infrastructure for just TCGs, now comic books. Do you think it stops there, or does it go to other sectors as well?
No, definitely doesn't stop there. I'm frustrated because it's like taking off my hair. I'm like trying to.
Oh, you're Brian Armstrong. All right,
no,
Brian
not bald.
Armstrong.
I know it's like, or maybe that's what that's what the people want to see. I'm just in a hotel, so like,
no, it's
I did want this
bald down.
I didn't want the Spidey thing. I'm just, anyways. So I
know you're. No.
So it definitely expands to. I don't have this guy's head of hair, but it definitely expands to other collectible categories for sure. Because like again, like it's like the question, like, does crypto actually make this a better experience for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is yes in this case. When you have all these things stacked on top of each other, you have like the instant buy, you have the ability to do the gotcha machine with some liquidity on the buyback. You have the ability to take out loans against the cards. You have the ability to, like, it's insured in a vault that you can trust. Like all these little things create a 10x experience. And I've been in crypto. Like my background, I built a media company. It was a portfolio podcast. Was at the Milken Institute, then came into crypto with a couple companies. So like I've seen it evolve over the years. And I've seen a lot of narratives of consumer crypto where like it's just not a better experience than like what already exists. But this is for sure.
So give us an idea. We danced around this question a little bit earlier, just trying to get into more of comic books angle. Talk to us about like the TAM of the comic book scene. I'm trying to just paint that picture for the audience.
Yeah. The TAM of the comic book scene. I mean, so comic book as a company, we're called comic book, but we don't just cover comic books. Like we cover really every pillar of, manga, anime, gaming, every aspect of the fan economy and every form factor of it. So
that's awesome.
It's really more of like a question, like a broader collectibles question for us. And I mean, the opportunity we see is the same opportunity that you all see and people that are tuning in see. Like crypto is, it goes through its narratives. Like it's been really tough for everybody over the past year and a half. We're starting to get some momentum back in key verticals. This is one that makes total sense. It's a better experience. Blockchain provides global instant liquidity to the asset class. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of as simple as that, and, for us, comic book, again, at the core foundation of the business is the editorial rigor that, is just cranking out a lot of amazing content and breaking news on these economies, and have the kind of like relationships in the industry to like, be the leader and kind of like gather the community around the topic.
So what are the comic book series you guys are like, or the manga series that you guys are after? Like, where are you guys going to start? Where are you already now? We see Spider-Man.
Take a look at the screen. We're starting at Spider-Man for sure. I mean, we have so Spider-Man, the new movie, Brand New Day, is coming out this summer, end of July. And so we wanted to launch this machine, and we have a lot of activations set up over the next month and a half that are going to be tied to the movie and some other kind of major partners that we have. And from there, I mean, obviously, like Pokemon has been something that comic book has covered extensively over the years and is like, the hottest TCG IP for sure. And there's also plenty of comic book and manga assets within the Pokemon universe. So again, like this is all, it's an IP trade. An IP takes different form factors. It's TCG, it's comic books, it's movies. So it's very exciting what can be done. And, we're excited to be a part of it at Comic Book.
Can you explain to me how this works? I know Collector Crypt, obviously we've had on the show. They do this white labeled product where they have their inventory in the back end, they have their grading system, they have their insured value, all that, the marketplace. What does this look like? Is this your inventory, or did, Collector Crypt go and buy a bunch of comic books? I guess I'm trying to understand, you had this fandom distribution layer at the front end, but have you guys been collecting comic books on the back end as well, or where did this inventory come from?
No, it's a deeper partnership. Collector Crypt is basically our go-to-market partner, their infrastructure partner. We partner with them on the inventory as well, and so it's kind of a dual model where comic books editorial team and staff are basically sent out across the country to different comic shops, and we record a lot of content with local comic shops. We make sure some of the inventory that's going through the machine are sourced from like, organic, grass-fed, local comic book shops that are family owned. Because those are really important for, the entire economy, but to, really support those type of shops. So the inventory procurement is a partnership between us and a Telegram group that's very active, and, inventory acquisition is something that it requires a lot of energy, human energy to do. You're just constantly searching, finding deals, organizing them into spreadsheets, making calls. You spent hours on this deal, and then it's like they don't want to sell it for you for under like what market value, and so like it's a grind for sure.
Well, and that's part of it, right? That's part of what makes Collector Crypt so unique is typically, unless people are spinning the gotchas and claiming all these back, it's plus EV, because you guys can actually have this buying power where it's like, we're going to buy think they said they're sourcing $2 million a week in inventory across their different verticals. But, you come in, I'm going to do a $100,000 purchase. You have that pricing power to where you can get a bit of a discount. Is your gotcha machine also plus EV for the most part?
It is. It's plus 5% EV, and that's the highest EV actually in the industry when it comes to comic books. There's a lot of reasons why. Again, like someone actually dropped in a comment, like, why do we launch? Like, they want to go to the comic book machine and they want only comic books. Like, why can't you do that for us? And we can, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of little things that make comic books a little bit harder than TCG. Again, like they're bigger, and so they're twice as expensive, or maybe sometimes 3 times as expensive to ship. With the Pokemon cards, you just scan it, the metadata populates, and it's quick. With comic books, it's not so simple. There's some manual data entry required, and so and those are maybe small things, but all these small things kind of add up to make it very difficult to provide a positive EV machine that's only comic books. And so to be able to mix that in, some TCG in there, like it helps us kind of expand what we can provide in terms of positive EV.
I keep coming back to this question too, because it's one that's on top of my mind. It's like, this is clearly a better alternative for the current collector cohort. Anyone that collects, like, this makes more sense. How do you guys go? Well, like, what's the go to market here? I'm sure you guys are already at, fandom events like Comic-Con or whatever it might be, collector events. How do you go and take this from like this small kind of cohort that's heavily financialized to, again, the actual collectors that are more in the industry, evangelizing, doing this, just very deeply tied to comic books? I think that's like the biggest jump that I've been curious to see, and like interested to know how both Collector Crypt and yourself is going to do it. But what's like the go to market here? You guys go into these events? Yeah.
I mean, we touched a little bit on it before, where like I do think, and I would say this is more my personal opinion at the moment, but I do think the marketplace product is a better go to market for mainstream collectors. But again, like the gotcha machine is just like, it's the same thing as opening a pack. It's the same exact thing, just a different animation. And so crypto, go to market, comms, completely different game than mainstream collector go to market comms. It's different languages, different platforms where people exist, different strategies to get in front of those people, and different value propositions you need to communicate to them. And so it's like, just a different ballgame. It's like baseball over here and soccer over here, which is fine, because I think there's a merging of the two that is happening. But consumer behavior is slow to change. And technology comes in fast waves like that. And we see it every cycle. It's the same exact thing. The difference this time is it really makes sense. The technology is finally there to execute. And it's as simple as that.
So, an interesting personal experience. Over the July 4th weekend, I actually was taking a flight to go see some family. And in the airport, which is crazy, I saw a TCG vending machine. Not a TCG vending machine, but like a vending machine with all these cards. That was the first time I've seen it. But it kind of had this thought in my head. I'm like, man, it'd be really cool if I had like a Comic-Con or a comic event or a collector's event. There is literally a comic books machine where people can go and play it in real time, and maybe they get a wallet, and if they win, they can receive those, or it auto generates them a wallet. Is that something you guys have thought about doing, like actually getting these vending machines and popping them up places for people to play, like in comic book stores or GameStops or whatever it might be?
Well, you asked me a question. Have we thought about it? We've thought about it. Like the thing about it is it's entirely different, like business, like unit decision, like to invest in a physical vending machine. It's just a different like revenue vertical, which we have thought about. We have talked about, actually. We've had meetings about it.
Mm.
And it's just right things at the right time.
Yeah. maybe not the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, I
currently.
mean, what we are doing. We will obviously, so comic book. I mean, we have the best media room every year at Comic-Con, and we're going to be activating this year with a arcade machine that's going to be able to pull the machine. It's going to be really cool, but it's not going to be a physical vending machine where they're physically distributing the stuff. It's what we just demo to the audience on a beautiful tablet encased in a beautiful arcade machine wrapper.
Got you. A little bit of a side note. You are a part of Super Team USA. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
What does that relationship look like?
What does my relationship with Nikki look like?
Yeah,
he's my best friend. I don't know. Like, what does it look like?
Pulls him in right here. Yeah, well, Super Team's new, and there's not many people that have been like officially announced as Super Team USA members, and so being early is important. And of course, we know how much Super Team helps in just facilitating relationships, building out. They're so helpful, right?
Yeah,
so
totally.
I'm just wondering, what is your relationship there?
Yeah,
how are you?
I'm just teasing you. Don't worry. Basically, I mean, I'm operator, founder, kind of within their cohort of founders here, and I'm leading a digital transformation of comic book. We're doing it on Solana, and so Super Team as a accelerator, as an organization, they exist to help companies thrive and to build unicorns on Solana. And comic book has full intention to get to that type of scale with the distribution that we have. And the brand that we're coming into the space with. So I met Nikki. He actually saw me present at Solana Accelerate in Miami. He saw me on stage and he was like, how do we get that guy into Super Team? And I was like, what do you mean? Just send me a DM, give me some Reposta coffee.
Yeah. And it was a done deal from there. They've been very supportive of Collector Crypt, like all the Super Team, firstly Solana in general, but like especially Super Team. I see Nikki and Amy always posting about this gotcha stuff. I think they're very excited about it. So it's no surprise that they're excited about comic books.
I mean, Collector Crypt deserves it. Like, I've been an operator in crypto since like February 2021. I'm officially like operating a company in the space. Like Collector Crypt is just like a very, very good, solid team. Tom is a really good leader. And they're just executing like fucking adults. Like hello. It's not that complicated. And I don't see a lot of it in crypto. So I've really enjoyed working with their team. And they're on it.
Talk to me about what's going on right now for you guys. Obviously, you just released this Spider-Man vending machine. What was the thinking behind that being your first kind of like, or the big rollout you guys are working on right now? And maybe just walk me through like what comes next. What was the thinking here? What's going on right now for comic books?
I mean, as with anything that's like a net new revenue product or net new revenue initiative, we're growing it. We're stair-stepping it upwards. We launched the machine. We had some really good volume in the first few weeks. Our user base behaved a little bit differently from Collector Crypts in terms of less buybacks, more like people wanted to ship the stuff to them. And so we had a little bit of an out of stock period where we were all, just scrambling to restock the machine with assets. And kind of slowly started to rebuild for the next big push. And we decided that the best strategic move would be to align with Spider-Man Brand New Day, which comic book already covers a ton of. We have podcasts, we have articles, we have, every new trailer that comes out. Typically comic book gets a first look and get it out to our audience first. So there's things like that make sense for us to really go deep and curate some really cool collectibles and assets within a specific IP. And Spider-Man's hot. Spider-Man's like the hottest IP of the summer at the moment, and we wanted to provide a machine to reflect that.
How are you guys thinking about a token? Is this something you guys have internally discussed? Obviously, Collector Crypt, I think, had a lot of we know tokens are very good distribution engines. Like, there's no doubt about that. They come with some baggage, some overhang. A lot of people that have the pitchforks out, ready to burn you at the stake if you make the wrong move. But it's a push pull relationship there. Have you guys thought about tokens internally? Excuse me. Is it something you guys maybe plan to do?
Yeah, the reality for traditional brands is that like nobody can really make a move until the Clarity Act passes. That's just like reality. Like there's a reason traditional brands, like you don't see one traditional company like launching a token like that. It's because of all the reasons we know, like crypto startups operate within this foundation in maybe like Switzerland or Panama or Cayman Islands, and like that's who issues the token. And it's like traditional companies that are like big, like Comic Book has a big media and advertising business. It's been around a long time. Like companies like that, like they're not like structured to just like start an offshore foundation and like launch tokens. Like it's not the same thing.
Keep going.
I'm going somewhere with this actually. So like basically when the Clarity Act passes, I think we're going to see, like, that's when we're going to see the biggest bull run of our lives, in my opinion. Because what I think all this evolves into is like tokens are really just on-chain equity. That's it. There will be some exceptions like Bitcoin or Ethereum networks, like, Solana, like will be some exceptions, but generally for companies, like it needs to be equity. We lost the chance that we had in 2021. It's not there anymore. So so I think we're just going to see the Clarity Act pass. I think that we're going to see on-chain equity summer or fall or whenever it does passes. And at Comic Book, we're just thinking about what the future looks like for the post Clarity Act world.
Okay, interesting. And Chill, I know you have a question, but I want to touch on this really quick because this is something I'm still like fighting with myself in my head. If we get the Clarity Act to pass, and I think it's gonna be similar to the ETF if it does, where it's like all this talking, all of a sudden, boom, it just happens, right? It gets signed in, and all of a sudden we have an ETF. I think same thing is gonna happen for the Clarity Act, or I'm hoping, right? With that being said, I'm trying to figure out, and I guess your perspective is very informative here, is if we get the Clarity Act to pass, and is it gonna be, okay, we've been thinking about this internally, lots of these companies, and all of a sudden, okay, we can launch a token, or here our token has value, or is it going to be, all right, now this is passed, let's start thinking about it. And 6 months later, we really start seeing these token innovations and, equity coming on chain. In your perspective, do you think people are ready to go as soon as this fires off?
In my experience, you never make a business decision with the implications of what that is like that. You can't like it needs to be like very well thought out, strategic, and like, I have no idea what that world is going to look like, or like the nuances of the terms of the act, because that's important as well. Like, I have no idea, like who the Clarity Act might pass, but it might have some red lines from where it's at now, and until it happens, I mean, nobody knows.
Right.
But, my last company, I mean, the reality is after FTX, brands never came back. They never came back. And so my last company, like we were like social tokens for brands and nonprofits, and we had some traction, and then, like it just, that world never really took shape. So in 2024, 25, we were operating a little bit more like an agency of record to all the media companies, helping them with their Web3 stuff. The process to do things, which is like you get sign off from the C-suite, and then C-suite, if even if they want to do it, they get approval from the board. And in that process, for almost every traditional company, it's always no. Like for crypto things, it's always no. So in order for anything to really happen, the Clarity Act has to pass, and then there's probably going to need to be a cultural moment, like a Beeple, whatever. I forget what it was, whatever $1 million NFT sell. Like there needs to be a moment like that. And then everyone, potentially the largest bull run we've ever seen in our lives.
I love it. Chill, you had a question?
Yeah, I think you actually kind of answered it a little bit already, just talking about the post Clarity Act world. And, how do we think brands kind of position themselves? Is that them just kind of diving right in, or are they taking advantage of kind of the infrastructure that's already there, right? Like the comic books of the world, the cards of the world. Like, how do you think that part plays out?
Well, in technology cycles, like some people are early and they've positioned themselves to be early. And then as the market reflects that they were right, like they're ahead by 1, 2, 3 years. So then it becomes a situation, it's a build or buy situation for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, life is all about positioning, and your question is no different. Like AI, blockchain, whatever it is, like that's business.
Got it. Sounds good.
I want to talk about traction. You said, look, users came in, they played a lot, and the difference here was your users were just claiming and redeeming them a lot more maybe than what we've seen historically. What has the traction looked like to date?
The partners typically discourage talking about numbers publicly. The reason for that, they actually made a lot of
encourage
like, I know. It's a different format. Because back when DraftKings was getting big in like the 2010s, like DraftKings were very public in their marketing about their numbers and their traction, and then they got hit back with a ton of regulatory like hits that cost them a lot of money that wouldn't have happened if they just like weren't so like vocal about that.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah, it's fine. Like we did about 500,000 in volume the first 2 weeks, and then what happened is we ran out of stock because of like the buyback and shipping activity was just like completely different from Collector Crypt's model. And so now we're in this point where we're starting to rev back up the volume engine, and like crypto's a little different in that like you build something with volume pushes, right? So like you have a big push, a big marketing plan, boom, you launch, like all of that goes out. You do like a wave of volume, and then it settles back down. And then like you plan for like the next push, and then you launch the Spider-Man machine. You have a wave of volume, and then it settles back down. And so that's like a little bit different than like a Web2 mainstream product, which is typically more like a curve like that.
Right, exponential.
I don't know who said it. Maybe you got like crypto's attention. It's an attention game, and it resets every day. So even if you would crush it today, like everyone forgets tomorrow or in 2 days.
That's
know. And so crypto's just it's just different than
it's
than
funny
the
to
real
me.
world.
It's funny to me that you broke down the whole DraftKings model and how they couldn't like disclose any numbers, and then you just gave us all the metrics. I love that.
Well, the thing is it's public. That's the thing. And so like you're asking me the question, like go to Collector Crypt's dashboard and look. Like why are you asking me? But I think I'm saying that more from the like for the whole vertical, like it's just like the more you're like doing that, the more attention you're giving to regulators about what's going on. And so it's like
it's a tactical move, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to give your enemy, the regulators, all that information.
Well, it's not enemy because like the repacks model needs regulation. Like it's like there needs to be consumer protections in this model for sure. So it's not about enemies. It's just about like I like Collector Crypts because they operate like adults. Yeah, I don't see it a lot in crypto.
This is true. Yeah, I was being a little hyperbolic there. Talk me through like roadmap. I want to get the vision of like what this expands to. Of course, Twom had this vision of, okay, we start at collector cards or whatever, then we go to comic books, and it can expand to whatever. Maybe someday you have freaking car vending machines, like whatever. But what does the current roadmap look like for you guys at comic book? And if you have to give some like projections on where you think you're headed and like the expansion and different verticals you want to kind of touch off and tap off, I'd be really curious to see what that looks like.
So the key vertical that we're going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper on over the next period is community. And that's like the core asset in the future of the internet. With AI, with all these things, like the ability to serve a community as a trusted community convener. Like that's the future of society. I mean, that's the future of the internet. That's the future. That's what you guys are doing. You're you're convening the community, and they trust that you guys are going to like ask the right questions, that you're going to be entertaining, that like, you know, like
Sure.
they're trusting you with a full hour of their time.
Right.
It's a lot. That's a long time.
It's a long time.
And so Comic Book has a really active forum. It's at forums.comicbook.com. And so one of the things we're really, you know, considering and thinking about is, what does that look like? What does the next evolution of that look like? And we're having some deep conversations around that, and we'll have some more on that soon. But I think at the core of that, really, you can't get like, is the collectible stuff, because it's like there's so much of people's identity that's tied into how they approach collectibles and like what they bring into their life and into their homes, whether it's Pokemon cards or comic books or whatever that is. So Comic Books wants to be a source of trust for that whole experience, to be first in the know, to like have original editorial that gives you information that helps you make better decisions, and to convene the community.
Absolutely. Distribution is the mode. I guess as we close this off here, maybe just general thoughts on where we are in the next 6 to 12 months from now. You know, is the marketplace a big thing? Do we see collectors coming on here rather than eBay? Like, just what does this look like to you as we kind of close this off?
Well, I think the adoption curve with mainstream collectors is going to be the same. Like what I said before, like where crypto's like, you grow in weight, you grow, well, not necessarily sporadic, but you grow in waves of volume. And those, you know, it gets like, you're going like that over time. Like, okay. With like a traditional Web2 type of a go-to-market and company, like it's not the same. You're growing exponentially, like the companies that take off, you grow exponentially. And so I think that's what we're going to continue to see with the mainstream adoption of these technologies. It's an exponential growth, and I don't know where we are on the curve, but it is truly the best thing I've ever seen in crypto in terms of the ability to bridge to the mainstream.
It's one of the first use cases that's really validated like RWAs as a whole. Like, can we have real world assets on chain? And is there like extra intrinsic value by doing so? Okay, well, yes, because now I can borrow against them. Now I have a liquid marketplace. I don't have to store them, you know, and just add to the list. So fascinating conversation, Andrew. We appreciate you coming on. Exciting stuff with comic books. I mean, it's just really cool to see this evolution kind of happening. And we will keep tracking the journey and maybe get you back on here when, again, that curve starts really, really curving and things are.
Well, I think next time you all should bring in Ben, who is our editorial director, and he really is leadership that oversees like the media business.
Sure.
I'm just the crypto guy they brought in to figure this stuff out, you know.
We appreciate it, Andrew. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Talk soon. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks.
There it is.
Nice.
That was comic books. I think it's a cool vertical. I mean, like, again, I don't know the industry very well, so like understanding just where we are. There's one thing that's apparent here. It's that there are multiple people that are doing multiple things that agree this is where we're headed, right? And so you have the comic book guys, you have the Pokemon guys, and they both come together and said, look, okay, it may be very early stages, but we can see the vision here. We can see that eBay and the current marketplace and the current, you know, illiquid nature of this stuff doesn't make much sense. We can see that blockchain enables a future where this stuff can work, and we want to see it happen. And so we're at the very early stages of that. And I think that's what continues to come back to me the most often is, you know, how early are we in this trend that there are a few people that collectively agree it's just much better. And as soon as you try it, you're kind of hooked. You're like, why are we even doing the old way anymore? And so I think that it's that understanding coming from early supporters and adopters to us, to actual avid collectors in these spaces. So really cool combo. Any recaps there, Chill, you wanna talk about?
I think you touched on it pretty well. I think for me, it's just like you said, capturing, just seeing the opportunity early, and it's all about positioning, right? Especially when it comes to the Clarity Act part of the discussion. I really like that. You know, they're positioning early and getting ready for, you know, when brands actually do want to adopt, actually do want to, you know, take steps into the space. So Yeah, I really like what they're doing. Seems like a pretty solid protocol. And like you said, already have some traction. And I think comic books, I mean, look at MegaCon, look at Comic-Con. Those things happen every year. There's the appetite is there. It's just a matter of, having the infrastructure that can just make participating in that sector or in that community a lot easier.
Look, I'll give you a good example, Chill. I think it's almost like you're reinventing the wheel in a sense, right? We saw this with Sunrise recently with their equities, right? For the longest time, 6 months ago, Solana had pretty much no footprint in equities. Then all of a sudden, we saw X stocks, pre stocks start pop up, slow adoption curve. And now we had Sunrise and Backpack partner up to actually being one-to-one redeemable equities on chain. And now it's exploded $1.5 billion in volume in the last month. And I think like that's kind of the same thing. We already have like equities are already existed, right? Everyone can already trade equities. You go through your broker, but now we're bringing them on chain and kind of reinventing the wheel where it's the same thing, but done better. And I feel like that exact thing is happening right now for comic books, where it's like, okay, we get it. You can trade comic books or on eBay, but if we bring them on chain, we can do that exact same thing, but better. And so just like equities kind of had this exponential rise, and now it's a huge dominant share in Solana, right? Almost half the volume is coming from equities and RWAs. And I think the same thing can happen with comic books, but I digress. Nonetheless, because we have an exciting conversation coming up here. We got Paul, Tetsuo team, coming up in the back rooms. Now I see the chat here. Agency looks amazing. We're excited too. Notoriously, we've covered pretty much every single Pump on Hackathon winner. Of course, the conversation is they won for a reason. Pump Fun's doing deep, thorough analysis on these projects. Will they do an ace round, right? Can we convert tokens to equity? Why did Pump Fund think these companies were cool and, they had some sort of upside potential? So these are the conversations we continue to have. Now, Tetsuo, from my understanding, is a collective or a group of developers. Now, I could be wrong about this, but pretty crack group over there. Early AI days, we saw Tetsuo. I guess Agency is, connected in some sense. Elon Musk has been talking about this a lot. And I got this message forwarded from a friend. So shout out Cryptor, but apparently 67 quote tweets and 52 replies from Elon Musk. So like, is there a relationship there? Nonetheless, it's going to be an interesting conversation. We're going to get to the nitty gritty, talk about everything. We got Paul and Tetsuo up in the back rooms. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Paul, you scared me, dude.
Paul, what's going on, man?
Oh, what is the problem?
No, yeah, I mean,
no problem at all.
No problem.
No problem at all.
A little bit. You look like my favorite. You look like my favorite horror movie from Halloween. But we appreciate you coming on. I love the mask, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I can't tell if you're an avid hockey player, or you like the goalie position, or you just love Halloween.
Just love Halloween.
Is that what it is? Guys, we appreciate you coming on. Again, I talked a little bit before you came up about just like what I see Tetsuo and Agency as. And again, congratulations on winning the final spot in the Pump Fund Hackathon. Like, huge congratulations on that. Clearly, they saw something special in you guys. So we're gonna break it down. But I want to start at the top. So Paul, since you have your name on here, maybe just like give us what you can. You guys are clearly trying to say semi-anonymous at least, but who are you guys? What is this Tetsuo? Is it a collective? Like, kind of help us understand who we're speaking to here.
Yeah, I can start. I am Paul. I am co-founder of Agency. The simple idea is people should be able to put work in front of AI, have the right agent pick up, finish, and get paid for real. And the people running those storefronts can, every time that happens, we are so early. So I want to be honest about, but the full loop is already working on mainnet with real outside people. And that's the part we are most excited about. Agency is really about helping bridge AI into something normal people and business can actually use and earn from. But yeah, this is the general vision. Maybe Tetsuo, you want to add something else?
Yeah, that's pretty much right. I mean, so Tetsuo itself, you are right. It is a collective of developers. We do a lot in ML, a lot of low-level development. We actually run the C and assembly developer community on the X platform. I think it's like 61,000 members in there, but
Oh, it's not bad.
Nikita's taking it away though. So it's
that's great.
Yeah. But I don't know if he's going to though. Like he said he was taking away communities, but they're still here
like
for
weeks ago, right?
Yeah, man. I don't know. The boar has got like his own agenda going on with X, I think. So yeah.
Okay. Speaking of, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no
like we're talking about Nikita Bohr, we're talking about X. Like Elon Musk is clearly you're on his watch list. He's following you guys, like talking about Tattoo all the time. What is that relationship? Were you guys like early to X? Like how the heck do you guys know each other? Or like what is the relationship there? Why is he so supportive of you guys? I just have to get it out. I didn't mean to interrupt you, by the way.
No, that's fine. So he's just a friend on the internet, I guess, right? Like just kind of the power of X, right? Like if you're on the platform, you have the opportunity to interact with people like Elon or whoever. Just nature of the beast, right?
Isn't it crazy? And I know not to get us off topic here, but isn't it crazy what the internet actually enables when you step back and think about it? There was like, I think it's the law of seven, where within seven law of 7 degrees or whatever, within 7 people, you can kind of bridge and connect to any single person on the internet or in the world. And like, that's only just become more true and more powerful with something like X, where you literally can get distribution and like the eyeballs from someone of the likes of Elon Musk on what you're building by putting out some informative tweets.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to be honest.
Yeah, but honestly, there is no formal relationship there. We are just builders, like Teso say on internet, and I think he's react to some of the ideas and the word publicity, which is cool, but we don't build the company around that. So
yeah,
we're sure. Also like with Grok, so with agency, like you obviously knew about Tetsuo Corp and stuff from the last AI bull run, like you were saying. So agency itself, the C inside of agency is actually for the C programming language. The original framework, I think it was like just over 600,000 lines of C code a few years ago, and it was a massive agent framework, and we were primarily using Grok there as well. So it was basically a framework built around Grok. And then we've like all the way through, we've always been using Grok, right? As our primary model inside of the framework itself. So, I mean, he's in a way, I guess, he would be supporting his own model, right? Like,
true.
Yeah. Rather than like a direct, what's the word I'm looking for here? Acknowledgement of what we're building. It's probably more of the fact that we are using Grok and integrated into basically everything we do.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand. I guess you have this collective, and the agency, is kind of like a subset of this larger Tetsuo collective. Talk me through, like, the token. Who won the Pump Fun Hackathon? Like, was it Paul, you individually, and Mr. Anonymous behind the Tetsuo logo here? Like, was it you two that own this agency company, or is it like a part of a collective decentralized network? Like, help me understand that angle.
So it's a collective decentralized network. Basically, like it was, I think me and Paul, like, God, man, we've put in so much time. Like, it's just coding nonstop, 7 days a week, nonstop. We've had a couple of people come and go. You get some interesting, because it's open source, right? And it's kind of like anonymous, whatever. Like, you get a lot of interesting people that come in. And I've been doing InfoSec for the better part of 30 years now. So we get a lot of bad actors that come in and try to put some pretty complex exploit chains into our code, which is fun because I get to look at what they're trying to do.
That doesn't sound fun. You're just always on the edge.
Yeah, it's not even on the edge because most of it's like trivial, right? Like we had one guy, he kept on trying to put these really complex exploit chains in and then push them to our repository, and we kept patching them. We didn't tell the guy he had to go or anything. We just patched his code and then used the good parts of it that he did, and then he eventually just gave up and disappeared. So
it's one way to do it.
Yeah.
So okay, so you guys win the BIP hackathon from Pump Fun. You guys get 250K. does this go to like one of you guys and now you're stewarding it to like the core contributors, whoever helps the most maybe gets paid, or like just how does this work?
So the majority of that, or essentially all of it, is just going back into agency itself. So marketing, it'll go into getting us listed. It's going to go into hiring people, because we do. There is a lot that we actually have to hire for, and that's obviously not free, right? People's time is worth money, so some of it's going to go to that, and obviously like normal things like servers. For ZK, it's actually pretty expensive to do ZK proofs, so we need GPUs for that. We also need compute for training models. It helps with a lot, actually. Right? And then beer and pizza.
Of course. Yeah. So you can grind all night and Mountain Dew.
Exactly.
Okay, so talk me through. I want to learn more about the agency product then. Obviously it was compelling enough for Pump Fund to award you guys the final place in the hackathon. So let's talk about the product and a bit of like directionally. I want to understand where this marketplace is headed. Like where the market in general is headed, so I can get a good idea of what you're building towards.
For sure. You want to take that one on, Paul?
Yeah, but yeah, the vision is to make AI work feel like a real market, not just a demo. So the earning loop comes first. You post a job, an agent claim, delivers, and when it's accepted, the payout settles on chain in Solana. So with the worker, an operator, referrer, and treasury all paid in one flow. If you want to see how it works, you can see all the description that we're talking about in that page. But from there, we want to spread into every agent framework with one installed. Let anyone run their own storefront and keep expanding the surface around. So basically, you can use service goods, embedded, private task completion, while it's a full loop. If this is the agency.tech, but we have another page, is agency.ag. That is the page where it's basically the storefront where people can create and operate their own marketplace. And
agency.ag, that is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Cool. Check it out. There we have basically, exactly that. There we have the most documentation about the SDK and the data about the transactions that are happening in the protocol in real time, and basically everything that a builder need to know to build around agency protocol. But
this is the truest form of the agent economy, right? It's people having tasks and agents go and do it for them. Yeah. You guys have 517, looks like, tasks settled or completed. Mm-hmm. Help me understand like the direction of this as agents become more powerful and people need stuff done and they can kind of just come and put it on this platform. Like, what is, I guess, the future of the agent economy going to look like practically?
So the future, it's going to be massive. It's early right now. There's a lot of people that are finding use cases and stuff for actually monetizing agents. It is still early, but it's getting traction, I guess you could say. There's use cases in video games. There's use cases with agents themselves, especially when it comes to doing tasks and coding and stuff, because you're limited by computation and a lot of the stuff you do, right? If you don't have the hardware on your local system, then you can only run so many agents, and having something like a marketplace gives you the ability to actually piece out jobs to other people in the network that are able to pick them up, right?
The big picture for us is an open labor market for AI, where the earning loop is native from day one. An agent gets hired, does the work, and when it's accepted, the payout settled on chain Solana. So with the worker, the operator, and all the parts in one flow. So the near term, we are focused on adoption first, storefronts, and making it easy to drop agency into existing products with embedded SDKs, widgets, or whatever. Right now, we have a binary that you can install in any agent. You can install the binary in Codex, in Cloud, in Open Cloud, in Hermes, or whatever you want, and you give full access to our protocol on chain to that agent. So they can create tasks, they can make trading, they can sell goods and everything.
That's right. And we've also got our own, if you go to get, I think it's get.agency.ag, is that right? Yeah, so this on get.agency.ag, that's our agent framework that people can use. And it's just like Claude/Hermes or whatever. It's the same idea, right? And then agency is actually built directly into this.
Okay, so it seems like there are a few different facets and verticals that I want to cover.
And then agency is actually built
I think I got some
into
feedback.
this.
Okay, so it seems like there are a few. I think I'm getting some feedback. Okay, perfect.
That's Paul.
No worries. Nonetheless, so how I'm seeing this is kind of like the total addressable market here is sort of like this Fiverr and freelance, I think, job market that we have in the world. And this seems to be like the most core market that you're looking to attack right now. Obviously, we've all heard people say, like, what's the total addressable market of the agent economy? And it's like, it is the economy, right? Like the entire economy. But I think here, like, the most practical example I can see is something like a Fiverr or these freelance marketplaces where it's like, again, I have a job, I need to get it done. Can an agent complete it? And here's like the bounty for doing so. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many use cases, right? Like even something as simple as like, well, you know who Psyop Anime is, right? You're familiar with him?
Yeah. Great video.
Yeah. So something, I call it simple. It's not simple. It's actually very complex. But something like Psyop Anime's edits, for example, if you had an agent that was able to take like the news and turn it into something that Psyop Anime is doing, then that is an agent that people could hire directly, right? And you could just have that AI agent running autonomously all the time, creating these video edits and stuff like that for people, and it could handle as many orders as needed. And it takes the human out of the loop and the burden of actually having to sit there and go through and edit all these videos and do all this stuff, right? You kind of have this automated system that works 24/7 for you.
So to even lean into this further, we see all these conversations about like zero human company or one human company, right? The first $1 billion company with one operator behind it. Is that kind of where we get to, where the whole business and tech stack front to back just kind of comes from, something like this? Hey, I need a marketer. Go and create me this video and do the marketing. Hey, I need this piece of tech built out. Go and build it. Like, is that kind of where you see us evolving to, where we do really have these one human companies enabled because of something like agency, for say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's already pretty close to there. I mean, even with most of our workload, like agency itself is massive. It's millions of lines of code across multiple code bases. To do a project this size, even a few years ago, would take a massive team months and months and months and months, right? Is
that your moat then, having this huge collective that can just build this out all the time? Like, what's the coder stopping somebody else? Because I have seen other people create like these agent marketplaces.
Yeah, there's tons. There's a lot of them. So I think that our moat is the fact that we're not trying to corner the market. We offer an SDK that anybody can use, right? And it's open source. Like, we don't, like, anybody can use it. We've got a couple other tokens that are already using the agency marketplace. You see a lot of the I don't want to say any names. There's a centralized exchange that's doing a marketplace, but it's all closed source. They hold all of your money. You've got to register with ID and everything like that, right? So it's kind of like, well, yeah, they're competition, but I mean, it's crypto. Like, when you take away the decentralized aspect of it, why wouldn't you just use a credit card, right? Like why even have it? It defeats the purpose of having the speed and having the friction removed completely, right? So I think as far as moats are concerned, I mean, yes, anybody can do that, and that wall is coming down fast with how good AI is getting at coding. But at the same time, you can give somebody all the tools in the world, and people that aren't going to build anyway, they're still not going to build, even if they have everything in front of them, right?
Got you. Yeah, so it does encompass this kind of crypto ethos. And I do think like your moat is your decentralized community that you guys have really building behind this, which leads up to my next question. What do the economics of this look like? Like if it makes money, who's receiving that money? What's the foundation or entity that gets it? How is it paid out to the core contributors? Is it given back in rebates to the people using the app? Like, what do the economics of this company look like? Is it a public good? Is it a nonprofit? Maybe help me understand the full like outlook there.
I don't know. I feel like I should call it a nonprofit because Sam made billions doing that.
We're a nonprofit until we're just like insanely profitable. And,
exactly,
like,
exactly. And then we'll kind of flip the script once we're there. But no, we're not a nonprofit. A lot of money does go back into the token itself, just to support the people that support us. Obviously, right? We're making fees on that. And then it goes to our builders, of course. Like we have to pay people to code. All pretty much our entire our internal team, we're nerds, so we build. Like that's our thing, right? We get money and we're like, yeah, we're like, okay, cool. That's like an H200.
Potentially serial killers at night.
As well. Yeah, nerds and a serial killer. Exactly. Exactly. So no, a lot of it, yeah, just goes back into supporting the core economy and kind of expanding out, right? Like we've got a hardware project that Paul is actually building as well for the agents. There's a lot there.
Very cool. And I guess to follow up on that, then, how have you guys been thinking about the ACE round? We see a lot of the previous Pump Fund Hackathon winners go down the route of an ACE, right? Token conversion for safe agreements. You can actually have like equity in a company. First to really do this, very well received by a lot of these companies. Is this something you guys have discussed or thought about, and like the practicality of that, if that could even work under this model?
I mean, it could work for sure. We've had a couple people approach us, but it's one of those things where we're kind of like we've got our heads down building right now, right? So we're not even like our biggest concern right now, especially after winning the hackathon, that really helped us. It isn't necessarily the financial aspect of it. Like we're doing well is one way to put it there, right? But I mean, more equity means that we can hire more people. It means that we can get more compute, which means we can train bigger models, which means we can get more servers. So money's good in that aspect, right? So it is something that obviously we're open to, but we don't want to give a lot of these. I'm trying so hard not to say anything negative. I mean, yeah, it's
picking and choosing. Very.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Are you from Canada?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah.
Picking up the accent there. Josh, one of our co-hosts, is a Toronto native. He loves to let everybody know that's Toronto.
Yeah. No, I'm in Alberta. Toronto's a weird place. It's like Americanized kind of, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to call anything in Canada Americanized. I don't know if I like that.
Toronto's close because it's like it's the closest thing to the States you get. It's in Canada.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe also like we walked through, and I want to ask Paul about this as well. You said he's doing something with the hardware side. You win $250K from Pump Fund. You're mentioning hardware. You're mentioning all this stuff. Is some of this investment going towards hardware? Are you creating your own servers? Are you guys buying GPUs? Like, help me understand what that $250K is going towards outside of just like salaries and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of it absolutely goes toward the hardware, but always in service of the same earning loop. So yeah, we have a project. It's a prototype that we are trying to develop of is a custom operating system where we're going to integrate natively the agency core, the runtime, running in a Raspberry Pi. I don't know. I don't have pictures. Maybe you can look on in X. Can you go in X in the agency account?
Absolutely, I have it pulled up here. What am I looking for?
Look, I think it's a video. It's called Agency One.
Agency One here.
Agency One. Yeah, there is a video. No, yes, but the core. The agency account, the my account. Yeah, the one. Go to search and try to is Agency One, so you can see the intro of the video, the product Agency One.
Like zero any.
Okay,
Zero
we're spelling it out.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, don't exactly.
Okay.
Go down. You should see a video. No, go down.
We're gonna get it right here.
No, down. No, it's a intro. It's a.
How much crap do we post on here?
No, this no. Go down. It's the intro video. Go down.
You just tell me when to stop.
Yeah. Go down. I think it's one of the first video that we have in the account. Oh, the next. This one. No, down.
Right here.
This one is the video. Like, exactly. This is the prototype of the project, the hardware that we are developing, that we are trying to bring like agency.
It's just a dude sweating.
Yeah, they do the sweating. Yeah,
here we go.
Yeah, exactly. This is the product that we are trying to develop also, and we want to try to ship around the world. So we need to buy a 3D printer with quality, and we need to buy some components that we don't have already. And yeah, this is something interesting that people can automatically, they can handle the agent from this small device.
Okay, and so practically, what does this look like? Now I have this agent here on the small device. I need something done. Like, what does this practically look like? I have one of these devices in my pocket. What can I do?
So that device could be your specialized agent that does any type of job. Maybe it runs a model that's fine-tuned on, I don't know, what's a good example? Making stickers or something, right? Stickers is a horrible example.
Sure. What's the best example I can think of here on the spot? Making stickers.
Right. So
have you guys ever heard of the Rabby R2? Have you ever heard of that?
I think so.
It's very similar. It's like this component, this agent in a device that you can kind of order it around. It can book a trip, look up, flight tickets and all these good things. Is this something similar, like where you can kind of like command your agent to like do different things for you?
Yeah, that's a way better example than stickers.
Yeah, exactly.
I figured I'd give you some inspiration.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Okay, and so what does this look like? Do you have any numbers on like the cost? Who would be the target audience?
Yeah, we already have a pre-sale, and we already have like 9,000 people asking for the device reservations.
9,000 people in the pre-sale?
No, 9,000.
Wait, what?
1K.
What?
1K.
Oh, 1,000.
I thought you said 9,000 too.
1K of people already asking for the device, and this is a good indicator. Yeah, so.
Okay, and how, like, because this is now we're taking the business from software product, offering to we got hardware, which is a whole different thing. Like, how are you guys planning on go to market here? How do you distribute these? Who's the target user that could use something like this?
Nerds.
Yeah, everything.
They're going to buy that.
I guess you do have a good community to start with, though. So, there you go.
We had So we had a Debian-based operating system. I don't know what happened to our OS guy though. He just like disappeared one day.
he took like 9,000. How much money he took?
He took a lot, man. He just left.
Brutal.
But yeah, it was because I actually, one of my friends. Do you know what Kali Linux is?
I know what Linux is.
Yeah, so Kali Linux is it's an older operating system, and it's a penetration testing OS. So they've got like a bunch of security tools and stuff built into there. One of my friends is a developer from Cali. He also worked on Gen 2. I had this guy like in touch with him just for mentoring. I gave him some money for a model that he was training, and then dude just disappeared. So we do have part of that that OS built. The idea there was to have a full-blown agentic operating system, just with everything kind of built into it. Now, on these little devices, you need an embedded operating system, right? So it's like you wouldn't have the full GUI and everything like that in there, like you would in a full Debian operating system, but you'd have a stripped-down version of that OS inside of that device. They're not that hard to build. Like, I think, Paul, you open sourced all of that, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, it's open source.
Yeah, so like anybody can build them. Getting us to do it for you, I mean, it saves you from doing that, and then you get the hardware itself from us sent to you.
So maybe we can hone in on this a little bit, because it sounds like there's a few product offerings. You guys have a big collective of people working on these different things. But if today you had to say what the main focus is and what you think is going to drive the most, 'cause I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes back to business. What's going to be the most successful, revenue driver, what for the top line, whatever. If you had to hone in on like what the messaging is for the people, what the offering is, what would that be, or what would those products be in a digestible way?
So the core framework, I mean, that's the easiest for people to understand, is the agentic framework, right? Just having something like Claude Code or Hermes or OpenClaw, which is what the agency CLI is. And then inside of that CLI, you have the marketplace that you're able to use. So if your agents want to do work, or if you want your agents to do work, you have a way to monetize that. You have a way to make money while your agents are sitting idle.
Got you.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think to kind of further lean into this aspect, then you guys have explained you have this crypto ethos, you have this big community building around it. That's kind of like the moat here. How do you get people on the platform? Because someone does have to take that Fiverr spot of the agentic economy, right? And so it's like, now we have this big collective. I'm not sure who's really at the head of it or like moving around, but how do we go from, all right, cool idea, cool product, but we have two sides of the equation, supply and demand, right? Firstly, we need people to, look for agents for jobs, have tasks to complete. And then you need the other side, which is agents that can go and complete those tasks. How do you guys go and facilitate both sides and really like blow this up to where this is like, if I'm looking for something to get done, I come here rather than Fiverr?
Well, first you have to create the demand, right? I mean, there's like, you make a good point, which is the demand side of it. With agency, anybody can build a marketplace. You can build your own store. You can use our SDK, right? So even if competitors pop up, the code itself and everything on chain already exists. They can use agency, so we don't have to corner the market itself. Other people can use it, and then they can have people launch stores through their marketplace, which is still on the foundational layer. It's still agency, right?
Got you. Okay. Talk me through roadmap a little bit as we kind of gear towards wrapping up here. What are you guys, I guess, internally most focused on, most excited about? Yeah.
Paul, you want to get on
that? Sorry, repeat. I was looking at phone. Sorry. I got a notification from the server. I got a notification from the server that we are running. Okay, we have...
you saw a blonde girl, which is your target, run past the window, and you're like,
it's
gonna be
we are most focused on right now is adoption. So the earning loop already works end to end on mainnet. So the roadmap is really about pushing those rails into every agent framework with one installed. And yeah, we are also excited about expanding the trust layer around that with things like a private task completion, mobile control, and the hardware path. But near-term priority is simple. So more real work settling in Solana through the network, because that is the thing that proved this become the real infrastructure for all the marketplace or everyone who is planning to have a marketplace around.
And what's the relationship with PumpClaw? I see they tweeted that you guys were live. So there's some relationship there. What does that look like?
I don't know if I'm allowed. Am I allowed to talk about that? I don't know. I didn't sign an NDA, so it doesn't. They're cool. I like those guys.
They are cool. Good friends
yeah,
of the
they
show.
are.
I mean, they tweeted about it, or they tweeted that
Yeah,
you guys are on the show.
I didn't realize that. I get notifications. So many. That's actually awesome of them. We've been talking to them. We've been in talks with them about using agency, and they've actually been giving us some really good feedback. They actually found a bug in agency that we were able to patch because of them, which was super decent of them. So yeah, we like those guys. They're good.
So is there some underlying relationship here?
Yes, potentially. I don't know what I can say here.
Yeah. Well, you already said you're not under NDA, so we know there's some sort of conversation going on. And here's the tweet for everyone, I guess, because I didn't have a chance to really look at it. I just saw they tweeted. I have, a Twitter feed over on my left side. But they said another great pump on hackathon build and public project feature on MTG Live. You might see some agency X claw pump soon. So I guess, they're hinting, you're hinting.
Mm-hmm.
We want some breaking news, just maybe toe the line for us. Give us a little something here.
Okay, so with Pump Cloud, they're going to use the SDK, as far as I know. They've been looking at agency and integrating it into what they have. I don't know how far along they are with that. The last time I spoke to them was the bug they found in there that we did patch. And that was I've been talking to Tommy and Bunny. Bunny is the guy that owns Pump Cloud there. Good dude, really good dude.
Yeah, friends of the show actually.
Yeah, very very good dudes. Actually, yeah, they've been doing some great stuff. I like what they're doing. That relationship's good to have because I know they are working very hard.
Yep.
Very close and tight with Solana. The ecosystem is like really developing quickly, and I love how they're plugging people in there. So that was interesting. I just wanted to kind of take note about it. What is, maybe lean into this SDK conversation a little bit, because they said they maybe are going to be using your SDK. Again, preliminary stages of that. What would that look like? So I can understand maybe how this offering can expand beyond just Claw Pump.
Right. So inside of the SDK there, if you go to agency.ag and then /docs.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is all of the documentation for agency, and we've actually made it extremely trivial for people to use this. There are, which one is it here? I'm going through it. So if you look at and there's so much here.
There's a lot here.
There
and
really
is like not computing.
We've got an LLMs.txt inside of agency itself and the documentations that you can give to your agents, and you pass that off to something like Grok Build or Claude Code, and it will actually set up the SDK for you. And then this gives you the ability to run something like agency.ag yourself, right? And then brand it yourself and everything like that. And agency is the hidden layer underneath.
Yeah. Think that the SDK is really the expansion path. Once installed, drop the full marketplace rails into whatever agent setup you already have. So a partner can plug in task discovery, claiming, delivery, or on-chain settlement without rebuilding the whole stack from scratch. So something like Pump Cloud or really anybody else, it can mean a few different things, They can build a branded agency store, wire in workers, add or hire the agents, check out, to existing product or use the SDK. So it's very simple what we do with this project.
Let's talk about the core product offering here, the marketplace. What does the business model look like on that, right? So if I posted a task, an agent goes and completes it, are you guys just taking a baseline fee percentage of that task?
Yeah, it's set at 5% on our side.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, the model is simple. Every time a work gets completed and accepted, the settlement happens on chain Solana, and the protocol takes, I think, 5%, while the rest is split autonomically between the worker, the operator, and the refill. So the worker does the job and gets the majority. The operator earn for running the storefront or supply side, and the refill earn the bringing demand, and the protocol treasury earns when the task closes successfully. So I think what makes that powerful for is we don't need to own every storefront. Anybody can use the SDK, launch their own branded agency store, and hire this agent flow. So it's plug into an existing rail, and let's go.
So you
Simple.
guys really aren't looking to be the front end. You're kind of looking to be the underlying technology, and then other people can go and act as their own distribution layers, and you're just kind of looking to plug into that.
Correct.
What does a BD look like, right? Because I mean, you need to reach out and talk to these teams that have this distribution that can plug it in. Is there, someone going from company to company or talking to the right people? Because again, it's a collective of developers, so it's maybe hard to coordinate some of this stuff. But who's doing that? That BD side.
So right now the BD side, I guess me and both myself and Paul are doing that. We do need to hire somebody for that though. It's I've been talking to a couple people. The problem is trying to find somebody that understands tech well enough to actually do that, right? It's tough to hire somebody for that, and then somebody obviously that's good at talking to people, because a lot of tech guys, they're like autistic and they don't know anything about business, and then you get a lot of like really hardcore business people that they might not understand the tech. So right now the best thing is just us, and Pump Fund themselves have actually helped us quite a bit here, which is really decent of them.
I want to talk, and we got to wrap up here because we do our next guest, but real quick, what has that Pump Fund relationship looked like? We've seen in cases people go and win the Pump Fund hackathon, and it doesn't really end there. They then maybe take them on a road show, collect VC funding, do the whole 9 yards. Are you seeking any funding? Does the relationship with Pump Fund kind of go deeper? Maybe anything on that?
Yeah, Pump Fund's great. I mean, they've been like, they're in talks with us all the time. Like we were just on a call the other day yesterday with Vaso. He touches bases, or Vaso. He touches bases with us constantly. They've got us on a couple different podcasts. Like they were the ones that put us in contact with Claude Pump there.
Mm-hmm.
They're good, man. Any questions we have with tokenomics or anything, they've got us in a chat with them, and they give us their time kind of unconditionally, which is super decent of them.
Yeah, wrap me with this. You guys have the token. How should people be thinking about it? You said you're doing some buybacks.
Mm-hmm.
I see here, obviously you placed 12th, but Dr. Kiki, who I'm assuming is a contributor, said we have to have the Pump Fund hackathon. So we launched a token for the Pump Fund hackathon. You guys placed 12th. Just close us off there. How are you guys thinking about the token? Ace round may be on the table. You've done some buybacks to date. Is there any like set in stone economics that are going to continue to flow back there? Or how should we think about the token?
Yeah, so with the token, it's a core part of agency, right? I love crypto, so I like the idea of community. I love tokens. We'll just constantly be putting money back into that. There's no incentive for us to really take anything out of there, so it's basically just buybacks and locks, and then just continuing to build that out, and a percentage of the protocol fees are going back into the token itself as well.
Got you.
Tokens are a great way to get community involved, and they're a really good layer for marketing and stuff, because you get the memes. It creates that kind of cult viral movement, and then it just as long as you're not like, I guess selling or whatever, right. Which as long as we're not selling and we just keep on contributing to that, then it'll just continue to grow. Right?
Okay. I'm understanding it. Add value where you can, and
exactly.
Don't extract from it, and we should be good. Okay.
Exactly.
Makes a ton of sense, guys. We appreciate you. I think we covered everything. It's an interesting concept. I do think as agents continue to get adopted, as these models get better, like, yeah, sure, we do get in this world where the whole stack is kind of, you can have these one-man companies and the whole stack operates from agents completing tasks, and these marketplaces become a big thing. So if you position well, you can find that niche and build on that vertical, be maybe like one of the first movers to it. You have a very promising future. So it's been a great conversation. I think we covered everything, guys. We appreciate you coming on. And
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate
Thank you for your time.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Paul, stay out of trouble.
Okay. Laugh before he left.
Yeah. Dude, this is hilarious. This has been like from a guest perspective, really funny. We had, Andrew from Comic Books on, and the green screen in the back just completely made him look bald. The entire time I thought Andrew was bald until he turned it off. He's like, I am not bald.
I saw some hair. I saw some resemblance of hair there. I'm like, no, bro. Like you got some whiskers up there. No, let me stop. Just kidding. He has a good full head of hair.
And then
I think that was the first time that was the first guest we had with a mask on, no? Or did Prophet come on with the mask?
Prophet never came on with a mask. He did PFP. It might have been the first mask. So I'm just I see Whack back here in the backseat, waiting for him to go and run and put something funky on his face. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, this has been interesting. Takeaways from this conversation with agency real quick. I think they do have this massive decentralized community. And I think the vision on an agentic marketplace is big. We've had this conversation. They are not the first to do it. They're not the only people to do it. It's like kind of saturated actually. But if it can be done right, and you have the right backers, you have the right distribution, you have the right team behind it, it is a really big market. And I do think over time, this Fiverr, and maybe it's Fiverr that wins the lion's share of this, right? But this Fiverr freelance marketplace has to be dominated by somebody. And it's very clear we're trending in the direction where agents, as they get better, they're going to be able to do all this stuff, create me a website, do my marketing, act as these different pieces in the puzzle. So whoever can corner that, if they have 5% fees and there's people doing jobs all the time on their platform, like similar to Fiverr, it can be very profitable. But how long does it take to get to that point where it's practical, and can they be the people in the position to do it best? Is the looming question. So it was a great conversation. Yeah. What do you think, Jill?
Yeah, pretty much same. Great convo. I like the decentralized community aspect. I've always appreciated projects. I guess call it the ETH background, the ETH maxi in me. But I always like these decentralized communities. These decentralized communities that can come together and push projects in a positive direction. So yeah, love what they're doing over there.
Sure.
You want to go ahead and transition into the next?
I sure do, Chill. We got Whack in the backstage right now. Whack Attack is his Twitter handle, which I love. But this is a really interesting one for me because, man, and Chill, I know you know about this too. A couple of 2 years ago, man, when Base kind of had its original run up, we had this AI kind of mania. We saw this cryptic launch called Tibber. Okay. If you know, you know. And I remember seeing sleuths all over the internet go and kind of piece together these puzzle pieces. Okay, Tibber is Ribbit Capital. It was launched through this wallet. This person is backing it. It's a, stealth launch, multi-billion dollar company here, right? All this crazy stuff. At this point, there is just so much content on the internet. It's kind of difficult to condense it and get like a full understanding of it in like one thought. And so I wanted to do that because it's very interesting and relevant with Robinhood launching. Remember, Robinhood was a rumor. We bridged to the Robinhood chain. Notoriously Chill called this out a week or two before Robinhood actually announced it. Robinhood announced it, and they clearly had this. They've been thinking about this for a while because they go and they have a ton of launch partners, and we see Virtual having all these launches lined up to go when Robinhood came. So, this and I guess the lore here too is like before Robinhood chain launched, there were tidbits, there were crumbs on the internet left by Vlad, but left by Robinhood that they were going in this direction. Similar to the way that Tibber's done this in the past. I think people are assuming now is the time to really get re-interested in this because with the Robinhood chain finally launching, now Tibber can maybe come out of stealth. Okay. Don't know if I'm understanding that correctly. We're going to have Whack break it all down because he's the guy who's got it all stored up here. And that's what we need. We're going to take that out. So we got Whack in the building. Welcome to MCG. We're excited to get this Tibber story covered.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here, guys. Thank you so much for having me. First things first, like I'm just a Tibber community member. Real big shout out goes to Altcoinist, who's basically carried this community on his back for the last year and a half. Like that guy is absolutely incredible. Like he's just a machine. Like the things that he puts together, like Tibber wouldn't be anywhere near, I think, what we think is now, if it wasn't for Altcoinist and a whole bunch of other people as well. Like, there's too many names to give shout outs to, but it's an incredible community. And before I, start, like I really should say this up front, right? Like Tibber is unconfirmed. We don't know like what the real thing is. We don't know anything. Like I'm going to explain a lot about what is there and what it might mean, but a lot of that is circumstantial. Like Mickey Malka hasn't come out and said anything, but he kind of has, but we'll talk about that too. And, the community it's been carrying this from day one. So definitely keep that in mind, before you want to buy this token. Now, I should make it really clear, I am a Tibber holder. I was one of those people who was in the trenches on virtuals, that base season, and I was sniping every launch, and I just happened to buy Tibber right on launch. I was one of the first 10 people to buy it at $200,000 market cap. So that was nice. I held it all the way up to all-time high, didn't sell any of those tokens, bought so much more like really early on. So, understand, that first of all, there's stuff that I'm going to talk about, but, we're connecting dots here that you might not agree with, the way that we're connecting those dots. You might not agree with that, but that's totally fine. And the second thing is, I hold the token. So, you can use that as a lens to whatever judgments you want to make about what the things that I'm saying.
We appreciate the disclaimer, and like this is the thing, it's all unconfirmed, which there's two sides to it. Like, okay, there's the risk of maybe we've gone down this rabbit hole and drove ourselves insane and we've made something up that's not really here. And then there's the other side where it's like, okay, but if this could be real, we want to have the full picture so we can understand it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's where we're at today.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm hoping to do, and I think that, we're going to do this really nicely, is just explain, what the token is, how it was launched. We're going to talk about who Mickey Malka is, who Ribbit Capital are. We're going to talk about what's happened after the token was launched and try to put all those pieces together and try to come up with, maybe some information and direction for the audience to kind of draw their own conclusions. A lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about is public information. Like you can go and search this stuff yourselves, verify the research other people like Altcoinist and others have done, and then reach your own judgment and see if, like I believe there's asymmetry here in knowledge, and the upside chance is incredible, while the downside chance as each day goes by gets smaller and smaller. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this, and I'd love to get started whenever you're ready.
Yeah, no, we're ready to go, and this is going to be a little different than an interview. We're going to butt in, we're going to ask questions, maybe anything we see contradiction, we're going to try to get the full base take here. But you've really written out a good way and sent it to us on like how you think we should go through this, kind of like from working backwards. I'm not sure if you have any content that we could pull out to maybe like help validate some of these claims. I should have done this before, but if you do have those links, I can send put those up while we're chatting through this.
Yeah, what we can do is like at the end, I can kind of show you Altcoinist articles, and a lot of the stuff that I'm sharing with you guys is from Altcoinist articles. So Altcoinist is a Twitter account, big Twitter account, has really put out most of the information about Tibber that's out there. So almost everything that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is going to be on Altcoinist articles, so you can go and check it out from there.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there is a lot, and just like condensing it's going to be so valuable, because I've seen the Altcoinist articles, but they are long, they're in depth, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know the Altcoinist community has been putting in work, so definitely go give them a follow before anything. Shout out Ranga, shout out the Solomon Labs crew, because they actually, highly regarded you, Whack, and said you're the man to talk to. So let's do this. Start me in the middle. January 2025. What actually appeared on chain, and what did people start to notice?
Yeah, so like you were saying in the end of the last thing, like just as you were wrapping up and before you were starting this, is like base was going through this huge pump, right, with virtuals. The AI crypto trade was firing really hot. Like we had things like AI XBT and Veda and Luna, and all these projects that were launching through virtuals were getting a lot of attention. They were getting really hot, and I was like, I've been in crypto since 2017. I missed out on DeFi Summer in 2020. I missed out on NFTs in 2022. I missed out on memes in 2023 and 2024. And I was just like, I'm really conservative, right? Like, I've got my bag. I hold it. I'm happy with my hold. And I saw all these things like pass me by, and I was just like, you know what? This is the time for me to do something here, right? So I got a couple of bots, like wallet snipering bots and stuff, and like just started buying every token that launched on January 1st, 2025. And on January 11th, Tibber launched. It was a token just like many other launches that happened on the Virtuals platform. 1 billion tokens, all of it is out public right there. There's a, Uniswap V2 pool that Virtuals throws the tokens into. Like, it's a bonding curve where if you hits a certain market cap, after that it becomes like a real token, and that's when I saw it, and that's when I bought it, but I had no idea what it was. And I was very much of the mindset that, like, even if I buy 1,000 tokens, all I need is one of them to do well to make it up for all the others. So I wasn't actually selling anything. I round tripped so many bags, like, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 X's. And with Tibber, like I said, I got in at $220,000 market cap. I was one of the first 10 people to buy it because I was just buying every token. And it looked like any other token, like launched on Virtuals at the time. You wouldn't get too much information about the launches. There were just so many happening. And what happened really soon is that we found out that the wallet that the deployer got their money from was Mickey Malka's wallet. Now, I'd never heard of Mickey Malka before. I didn't know who that guy was. But one of the things I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a lot of idea, with the meme tokens and stuff, that there were people who were quite prominent and they'd launch tokens like, oh no, this is a test token, this isn't a real thing, we're just playing around, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Right. And there was, as soon as people started saying, oh, this is Mickey Malka's wallet, and this guy's some prominent VC, and the idea was, oh, this is going to be like a test token, right? Like, it's just going to be a test token. He's going to come out in a couple of days' time and say it's a test token. I was still holding the tokens, but I was kind of cautious about buying more.
Like, we got hacked and we didn't launch.
Yeah, exactly. My wallet got hacked, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. But one of the things that, you have to realize is Mickey Malka's been in crypto, like, from the very early days. And the more you learn about him, the more you realize that, his wallet means something. He's got a digital art collection worth millions of dollars through Calban.eth, which is directly linked to Mickey Malka, the wallet. And then that is on his Farcaster profile, the ENS Mickeymalka.eth. And you can see that, it's a 2,800 day wallet. That's like nearly 8 years or something. And like right from the early days of ETH, that was all there. So his wallet was all there, and all the information was right on chain. So you could see right away that there was something here, But they didn't take any like major allocation for themselves. They didn't pre-buy any of their tokens on the bonding. Very small amount of tokens, and it launched at $40,000 or $50,000 market cap, and that's what it is. So that was there. Now the name itself is really funny because it's Tibber, Tibbir, which is ribbit backwards. And that kind of became a meme in the community, right? Like, Tibber is ribbit backwards, which obviously is. But one thing that's really funny is that Ribbit Capital have this line that they like to use. It's like invert, always invert, right? Like, invert expectations, invert systems. And here they inverted the name of their company. So that was, I think, quite interesting. So there were like a few little tidbits here and there.
Right, so maybe to help us understand some of this lore, we should also like understand what Ribbit Capital is more, and like the ethos, because they're a very CryptoPunk, cypherpunk like ethos to the company. So maybe even like give me a bit of a background on Ribbit Capital, who they are.
Yeah, so Mickey Malka is the founder of Ribbit Capital now, and he was Venezuelan born. There's a really funny story about him. When he was like a kid, he asked his parents to write to the Tooth Fairy that instead of giving money in Venezuelan bolivar, to give money in US dollars instead, because he understood the value of money, right? And like, such a young age, he had this idea that dollars were actually worth something, whereas bolivar, might not be worth something. And obviously since then they've hyperinflated so much. He was like, just like hearing those stories about him as a child, like it just shows that he had such a strong like attenuation to like finance and financial technologies and a banking that you wouldn't expect from seasoned professionals like after a decade in the industry, let alone teenagers who are still at school. So at 17 he became a broker dealer at 17, and he just like was doing all these like crazy market stuff with like US markets while still in Venezuela. Very young, he started developing products for banking, and actually had an exit on his startup, which was called Patagon, for $750 million to Santander. So, that was in 2009. So this guy was like, not only did he have a great financial sense, but he was actually a developer and he was a creator, and he was making technologies that people wanted to buy. So he had like a few successful exits. And I think that's like, in the late 2000s, like early 2010s is when he moved to the US and became a VC. So I guess, his developing days were done, and then he became a VC. And what's really incredible is that his whole pitch, the first funding round is kind of like legendary now, he in 2012, he got his first funding round, people giving him money to invest on their behalf, like venture capitalists do. It was $100 million. And one of the things that he invested in was Bitcoin at $20. So at one point, it seems like, I'm not quite sure on this, but I've seen this enough times. You guys can go check it out yourselves. It looked like 2.5% of all circulating Bitcoin supply was held by this fund in 2012.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, 2.5% of Bitcoin, not like, some shit meme coin that just launched or whatever. Like, it's just
Michael Saylor style.
Yeah, absolute like incredible like foresight, to get into this technology and realizing just how strong the value of it is. After that, he had a series of investments that are absolutely legendary. Investing in Coinbase in Series A, at one point holding 4% of all Coinbase stock. They went up to $85 billion. Investments in Robinhood, investments in Revolut, like so many unicorns and, successful exits. Like, it's just boggles the mind. So, currently it seems like the assets under management are around $15 billion of, shares in companies that they've helped go ahead and, reach through these various funding rounds and, getting them public. 35 unicorns, companies worth over $1 billion, 16 IPOs, successful exits, through the market. So the guy's legendary. Like,
good track record.
Yeah, like the best. He's got Midas Touch awards from so many years in a row, saying that, one of the best VCs in the world, one of the best fintech VCs in the world, over so many years in a row. So, the guy's just made these amazing investments year after year, exits. He's done that. He's done a lot. So he's been the developer side, the investor side, the whole lot. Like, absolutely legendary person. So many crypto companies that have links with Ribbit Capital, either through their investments or through through their advice or other things like this. Now, Ribbit Capital started talking, changing a direction over the last few years, and that I think is really interesting. So I'd love to tell you more about that. In January 2024, they said they released a letter for their investors saying that we want to start focusing on identity, and they had another letter as well in June 2025. Presenting the idea of something called a token factory, and everything being a token. And here, I think a lot of Tabor community members think that Mickey Malkus is showing like his foresight and really showing the direction of the crypto and fintech industries, and that then ties into the Tabor stuff. I've been talking for a while, so why don't you ask me some questions?
No, okay. So what I've gathered so far is, Mickey's very, very much crypto aligned. Early holders in Bitcoin, early investors in Robinhood. Have you even heard they like bailed out Robinhood at a pretty crucial time?
Yeah, a GameStop saga. They invested. They were able to raise $2.5 billion in the course of one weekend, while Robinhood was kind of collapsing under obligations from the clearinghouses. So they needed to basically raise $2.5 billion in one weekend, and Mickey led that raise. I think he put $500 million of Ribbit Capital money into that, and then raised others from people that he knew, and phone calls over a weekend to get that money together. So Robinhood was basically going to die if it wasn't for the fact that Mickey Malkus kind of stepped up there, and he was there from the very beginning with Robinhood. He's actually a board member now as well. So the ties there.
Better make him a board member after that.
So the ties between Robinhood and Ribbit Capital and Mickey Malkus are really strong and like really long lasting.
So early investor in Bitcoin, early investor in Coinbase, early investor in Robinhood, even bailed out Robinhood, who we know is very, crypto directionally focused, especially recently with their launch. So he's got an affinity for this ethos. He is invested in a lot of crypto companies. So it's not a wild statement to think this guy's paying very close attention to the crypto industry right now and has a lot of his own thoughts that he wants to factor in, even considering the token factory thought that you were mentioning earlier. Okay. I just want to kind of consolidate that. I think we're good on this chapter. Keep walking me through what happens. And so on chain, we see this sign show up. We see Ribbit token launched. You're an early investor. And now more signs start coming out. So where are we at this point?
Yeah. So before we kind of like jump to that point, there are a couple of things to just explain a little bit. So like I said, there was this identity letter, and in that letter that's on the Ribbit Capital website, you can go and have a look now. There's a kind of a mock-up conversation that someone's having. It's like text messages where a person is texting an agent called Ribbitor AI and a Ribbit AI, which is Ribbitor, I guess, and saying, hey, book some flights for me. And it's kind of an example of what it might look like. So you can go see that in the identity letter. And this was a year before the token launch. Another thing is in November 2024, Ribbit worked with Solana, OpenAI, Vlad from Robinhood was there. They had a hackathon together that was all about agentic AI. Yeah, so on the Ribbit website, there's a letters section that you can go at the top and you can read their letters. And the one that that's the Ribbit, there it is. So the one I'm talking about is the identity letter in 2024. You might have to enter your email address to get access to it, but that's fine. But I forgot what page number it is, but you can put your information in there and you can see that information pop up. So it's pretty cool. So let's actually, like you said, right. So there's still stuff that was happening before the token launch that kind of shows you just how serious Ribbit Capital was about this, agentic kind of world and the agentic future. And this was, a year before the identity letter was a year before if you scroll down, you'll see that there's like a mock text conversation, and you can see it says Ribbit AI there. I'm sorry, I forgot what page it was, so you might have to rummage around and find it. But yeah, so there was all this stuff happening, a year ahead. There it is. Yeah. So if you look at the name of the agent that he's talking to, you'll see it's Ribbit. Like if you look at the first conversation, the blue box on the top left one, it says. If you just scroll down a little bit, you can see it. No, up. Sorry.
Yeah, right there. Ribbitor AI.
Yeah. Hey, Ribbitor AI, I'd like to plan a trip with my family. So this letter is from a year before the token launched, and he was already using the same name. The Twitter handle was used by the agent attached to the token. Like when you launch a virtuals token, you had a Twitter account that kind of got made with it that the agent would like start tweeting at, and that token, the Tibber token, was attached to the Ribbitor AI Twitter account. So yeah, so they were already using that kind of language a year in advance. And then with that hackathon in 2020, at the end of 2024, they were already seeing, that next move of agents and trying to develop in that area. So yeah, so now the token happens in January. Yeah,
even to touch on this is really interesting because either the person that launched the token would have had to know all this deep lore, like either been following Ribbit Capital very closely before, or done some really deep research, I guess, before launching a token to kind of make this convincing soft launch. Or it's either that or Mickey launched it and he knew all this information.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing now. So like this is the main. If there's one thing that you take away from this whole conversation, I think it's the next few minutes of what I'm going to explain to you that is the crucial aspect of this whole thing, right? So like, what is the evidence? What is the evidence that this is, Mickey and Ribbit who launched this token and have some ideas for it, compared to what if it's some guy who just studied the law, right? And was able to kind of fake it. Now, first of all, Mickey's wallet was the one that was funded the deployer directly, minutes in advance of the deployer then launching token. So I think what happened is Mickey basically, this is my interpretation, Mickey sent a new wallet some money, and then that was used to launch the token on the virtuals platform. What happened right away is a lot of Ribbit Capital people started following Ribbit Agent on Twitter. So you could see, managing partners, like staff members of Ribbit Capital, and then a few weeks later, even Mickey Malka himself, the whole team started following the agent. So it's like, okay, you can hack the the Ethereum wallet, like the ENS account, but then hacking all those Twitter accounts as well to follow this token. Like, it kind of makes it really interesting. Another thing that's really, really crucial is, in the weeks before the launch of Tibber, there were some companies that launched, like Tibber Holdings LLC, and like management firms with Tibber name in it, and those actual LLC documents have Mickey Malka's name on them as well. So he was actually using the word Tibber on legal filings before the token launch. So like the law would have to be really, really deep, right? So like, it's just that, like, even right now, the coincidences are too strong to say that this wasn't by Mickey Malka.
So you think the most compelling thing here is that token launched, and within 48 hours, the entire Ribbit Capital team was following.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe to give a counter, just to play devil advocates here.
Yeah.
What if they maybe saw it? They saw some of the rumors floating around Twitter, and they're just like, "Oh, let's follow this just to see." The funniest thing could be us following it and just watching it play out. Do you think that's a possibility as well, or?
Yeah. So like that, you could say that, right? Like, but first of all, like, you have to remember that Mickey Malka is very much one of these people who, his reputation matters a lot. Vitalik did say that, reputation is like the most scarce resource, and he's absolutely right. And these guys, like, they're not babies. They've been in crypto for a long time, and they've got billions of dollars of assets under management. Like, I don't think they're just going to follow like the token, like the agent, as a LARP. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's a joke, and that's fine. Maybe like, for a day or two, it might have been a joke, but like, it's been a year and a half, and they're still following the token, and they've never come out and said, hey, this isn't our token, this isn't our thing. And there's actually something really interesting. Let me tell you, okay? So the agent had a reputation of being like really dumb, like saying some things that were really interesting, but I think, the LLM it was using on the back end was just like hallucinating a lot, and they would said some dumb things. And I think a few days after launch, the price had gone up to $10 million, and it was looking really strong because, a lot of this evidence was quite compelling that it was Ribbit Capital. And then the agent put out a tweet, right, saying, I have no link to Ribbit Capital. And the price dropped 80% in literally one 1 hour candle. And back then, the Virtuals platform, you used to be able to see like the terminal of that agent. And you could see like when the tweet came through the terminal, but a tweet came up on the Ribbiter account on Twitter saying, yes, we are, this account is linked to Ribbit Capital, and it didn't show up on the terminal. So someone injected that tweet onto that Twitter account. And that is the time that I should have gone all in on Tibber, just knowing that. But I was still hesitant, you know what I mean? And I just, I limited myself, and that was the best entry you could have possibly had, because like there was, more potentially information here saying that this is a Ribbit Capital token, right? And yeah. Anyway,
so
yes.
Quick question for you. So what is Tibber exactly, or is that like?
I'm gonna come to that like next.
Got it. Okay.
The honest answer is like we don't know, right? But we have a lot of ideas of what it might or might not be, but I don't know. So if you said to me, a gun to your head, like you have to tell me what Tibber is right now, or whatever, I'd be like, bro, I don't know, right? That's honest truth. But we'll come to that next about, and I can tell you what it might be. But so that's like, I'm just talking through the evidence now of the link between Tibber and Ribbit. Now, one thing that's really interesting is Mickey Malka has a lot of friends in crypto, people that the names of, like Beeple, who's like the most famous NFT artist, or one of the most famous NFT artists, Raoul Pal, who has a reputation for making cheap predictions, but very famous in crypto, and a whole bunch of other people who are like in that NFT space and crypto space. And Beeple has put Tibber into his artwork a number of times. There's a really famous piece that he put out where it's like a computer on a green field, and on the side of the computer it says password equals Tibber. So he didn't have to do this. But what's really interesting is right now in San Francisco, Mickey Malka's Node Foundation, who owns the rights to CryptoPunks, is hosting an exhibition by Beeple. So these guys are friends in real life. So it's like, what's the link there, right? And with Raoul Pal, he actually had Mickey Malka on his show, talking about like AI agents and tokenization of all the world's information. Yeah, that's the piece there. So right there on the computer on the front, it says password is Tibber. So it's like, yeah, come on, bro. Like what's going on here? And this is a guy who legitimately, like has been shown over and over again, actually knows Mickey Malka personally. They're friends, I guess, or he's a patron, or he supports his art. But that is pretty incredible. And this was only one of the times that Beeple's used Tibber in his artwork. He's used it actually many times. Raoul Pal's really interesting because Raoul Pal and Mickey Malka, again, we have evidence of them being friends in real life, attending art openings together in Ohio and other places. And Mickey Malka was actually on Raoul Pal's podcast last year talking about token factories and this idea of tokenizing everything. And in that interview, Raoul Pal said to him that, look, I helped you write the draft of your token letter, and they were talking about all this tokenization stuff. And right at the end of the episode, Raoul Pal was like, oh, a lot of people have been asking me, to ask you, what is this Ribbit thing? And this, agent, this little autonomous agent on X. And Raoul Pal, Mickey Malka kind of looked at him and he just said, I have no idea. And he said, I have no idea. And Raoul Pal turns around to him and says, I don't believe you for a second. And they both just burst out laughing, like the biggest laughs you've ever seen in your life. And it's like, guys, come on. I know you said I have no idea, but the way you're acting right now, definitely, I think it doesn't show that, you have no idea. So there's these kind of direct links and these indirect links, and it's kind of adding together, with all these people who you kind of expect to be in the know and making these kind of statements and using, the word Tibber. And it's like, why would they be doing this, right? If it wasn't for the fact that there's something there. So yeah, that's kind of interesting there. Chill, I think you should ask your question again now about what is Tibber, because I've got some really good information for you about what it might be.
Got it. So I'm just going to put this all together from everything that you've said so far. So essentially there's a token. We don't know exactly what it is, what it's for, what the product is behind it. But what we do know is there are very deep, and they might be coincidental, but it's almost too much coincidences to not be true, not for there not to be a solid link. So seemingly a link between this token and basically a generational investor. And he's connected to a large fund that has billions of dollars in assets under management. He has connections, deep connections in the crypto space and the TradFi space. He's helped out some of the largest companies like Robinhood over the course of his years. And we know from his investment track record, he tends to be early on some of the biggest, products. And so now this brings us to, that's the background of it. So what's the speculation behind, what is Tibber?
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so you summed it up perfectly, and it gives us a really good idea now of just how Mickey Malka sees things and how, we have evidence of him seeing things that then turn out to be something, right? So those two token letters that I mentioned, one of them was from January 2024, and the next one was from June 2025. So it was a year and a half later. In January 2024 letter, he wrote about how identity is incredibly important for agents, right? You don't know who an agent is, what an agent is this a good actor, is this a bad actor? So having some kind of identity will be crucial. Now, we in the Tibber community kind of had that along with what the Ribbit agent was tweeting, and we kind of thought that what Tibber was going to be is the token that underpins some kind of identity management system for agents and maybe for humans. This idea of something called an identity backpack or identity passport, where your on-chain information and the stuff that you shared with the protocol, Tibber or Ribbiter, you shared the information with that, and that would then let you bridge, on-chain and TradFi rails. Basically, think, Morpho, for example, lending, borrowing company that is Ribbit have invested in. You could link that directly to your Robinhood or your Coinbase account, which are two of the companies that Ribbit have invested in. So that was kind of the idea that we had at the time, based on this letter that was out from a year.
Also partnered with Robinhood Chain conveniently.
Yeah, exactly. All of this stuff. And then the next thing is, the token factories idea was actually just made it so much bigger. So this idea that, Mickey Malka puts out in his letter is that, token factories basically means all of the world's data, all of the world's information, all of the world's assets, everything will become machine readable tokens. Now, I don't want you to think of this as like crypto tokens. I want you to think more of this as like LLM tokens, like machine readable information. So the idea that, we in the community kind of got from this was Tibber would be bridging, those tokens, those data sources, that information from, different bodies, and kind of managing the flow of that information. And like you were talking about agency, right? Like, as each task is done, you pay a small fee. So in this case, as each task is done, the idea we had was you would pay Ribbit agent a little bit of money, and that would be used to burn Tibber, or whatever. That's just that. This is all speculation, right? Like, we don't know really, but this is speculation based on the information that we got from the Ribbit agent on Twitter, and also from the letters that Mickey Malcolm put out through Ribbit Capital. Now, the token factory idea is really interesting, because if you think of something like Visa as a network, or MasterCard, in their finance networks, right? So their job is to move money from you, basically your bank account, to any company in the world, and then from those companies to other people, and just moving money around and managing all the flow of that money. The idea we had was basically that, Ribbiter could, or Tibber could, manage the flow of tokens and information and identity and money across crypto and TradFi worlds, bridging all of that through oracles and information, and then burning a part of Tibber. So these are some of the ideas we have of what Tibber is, but we don't know. Like, frankly, we don't know. We're just trying to piece together the puzzles. We don't know if that is, what it's going to be, but I can talk to you about that a little bit more later as well, about like, what it might or might not be, and what that might mean for the price. But,
let's talk about that if you want, because Altcoins put out this post, and this is like the narrative I keep seeing, and I don't fully understand it. Robinhood and Virtual suspiciously look like the perfect infra distribution playbook of Ribbit. Like, how does the Robinhood launch, like, what materially changes now that Robinhood's launched, and like, does this lead us to like what the product Tibber could be is? Because I don't understand how Virtuals and Robinhood somehow tied to like Tibber.
Yeah.
So I can see the connection, but yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
So in the token factory letter, in that letter, there was mention explicitly of Virtual's platform. And, this agentic hackathon had happened a few months earlier. So, that Ribbit was already thinking about agents. So that link between Ribbit and them launching the token on Virtuals shows that there might have been some kind of conversations happening in the background. We don't know. But the idea is that there's people in the Virtuals team who have signed NDAs, maybe, of just being told to keep their mouths shut. But at times they've really mirrored the language that Ribbit Capital have used in their promotional materials, like saying, it takes money to make better money, and said slowly and then all at once, and really mirroring this phrases that Ribbit has used so many times. So yeah, it's definitely the case that there's some links there between Ribbit and Virtuals, and then of course the Robinhood links go way back. So I think this idea that altcoins is kind of promoting here that Robinhood chain and Ribbit Tibber are going to do something together. I think that's a little bit of taking something that we know from box A, taking something that we know from box B, and kind of trying to mesh it together to see is this what it is. Now, I don't know if that is possible, but that here you got a tweet from a Virtuals dev or Virtuals team member, and they say the color is green. So this kind of thing's been happening a lot, you know what I mean, where they're not telling us what the project is, but they're coming out and saying that, hey, there's something here, and keeps bringing our attention to it. And another thing is, the founder, I think, or one of the co-founders of Virtuals was on one of these kind of shows. I think it was T-Pan, I'm not sure, a different one. And, they said, the number one token on your platform is Tibber. What is that? And he says, yeah, at the moment, Tibber is priced like a meme, but it's foundational architecture. And then he kind of took it back, you know what I mean? He hedged himself. So it's did he just let something slip? What kind of foundational, fundamental architecture can this be? Is he just saying things? Is there something really here? What's going on? So there's so many of these instances, guys, that it's just beggars belief that there's not something here. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many nods and winks and hints and like, you know, little like subtle messages without anything firm. So it kind of drives people crazy. It's like, come on, like, dude, give us something.
So Whack, you've inspired me, man. Tomorrow we have it's a little plug on the show. Tomorrow we have a Virtuals Robinhood Day. So we have all the top Virtuals Robinhood launch, you know, partners coming on.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great conversation. I'm gonna ask the Virtuals team that we have. We have Don Johnson coming on. I'll ask him what's going on with Ribbit Capital. What's going on with
He's not going to tell you anything. Like Don Johnson's been on Tibber community podcasts and he's been like talking to Tibber community members for months, but he keeps mum. If you ask him what is Tibber, he'll be like, I don't know. And it's like, bro, come on, like, what are you talking about? Why do you have
to read his body language?
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully you can get something out of him, Dom, and then you're going to be a legend in the Tibber community for like finding something out. But I really hope you do. But there's so many of these instances, right, where you think that there's something about machine identity and agent identity that's being cooked here. And, you know, we're seeing it a lot in Ethereum with their token standards like ERC 8004 building out, and also things like, you know your agent as an idea kind of developing, A16Z coming out and saying that, you know, agent identity is going to be a big deal. And there's these ideas that are kind of floating around, right? And it's just, we'll have to see, you know, what comes of it. But Ribbit is really interesting because, you know, Tibber is actually really interesting because every few months it seems like, you know, the community starts getting antsy. Like, you know, we need some information. The stealth has gone on too long. And this has been the case from the very beginning. I remember I bought the token in January, and by February I was saying, like, guys, come on, you have to come out of stealth. Like, what's going on here? And obviously they haven't come out of stealth, but they just keep giving you like these little bits of information, like the Ribbiter Twitter account using community art for the thing, and then the token letter having community art in there, and then the Ribbiter agent, you know, buying a punk. And like, I felt like every 3, 4, 5 months there was something happening where it would get everyone excited again, and then they would, like, you know, just keep you waiting for the next thing. And one thing that's really interesting that happened in December of 2025 was Ribbit Capital, not Tibber, Ribbit Capital, on their Twitter account launched their new idea, which they called the digital grid. And the digital grid is really interesting because in their media that they put out about it, they're basically presenting this idea that, you know, all our companies will be kind of linked to each other. And in that material, there were a bunch of Easter eggs that were about Tibber. Like, one of the interviewees had the Tibber punk in the background. Another one was a person walking down a street, and one of the signs was the Tibber logo, like the Tibber frog. And then there was, like, you know, the NFT that was buried in there, and like the ticket had Tibber written on it, and like, it's all these little things. And it's like, guys, this is the official Tibber account, the Ribbit account, and they're using Tibber stuff. And here they're talking about a digital grid. And the very last image that they presented in this like short, you know, 4 tweet kind of like a soft launch, I guess. The fourth one, this exactly, they'll scroll down a little bit from, Tibber Racer here, right? If you see, look, these are all Ribbit companies. So there's Safety Kit, Crusoe, Morpho, Psi Quantum, and right in the middle, you see a Tibber frog, pardon my language. And it's like, what are you trying to tell us here? You know, this is the Tibber frog is connecting all of this together, which kind of ties into these ideas of, you know, the identity and the token factory. And it's just like, that's something, right? Like, is that something? Are we deluded? Like, what's going on here?
Is the Ribbit Capital logo also a frog, or only the Tibber logo?
Yeah. So that's another interesting piece of law, because the Tibber logo was actually, if you search frog with glasses on Amazon, you'll find, I should have put the tinfoil hat on my head, but it's like, you can verify all this yourselves. You can go there and look for it. But so the Tibber logo was a frog with glasses, and people were like, oh, this is art that was stolen from Amazon. And we're like, what? Like, so we all were looking, and we looked on Amazon, and a bunch of the community members actually went and bought the art, but it's actually licensed from this artist. And it turns out the artist license was the same artist who did the actual Ribbit Capital logo. So it's like, there's another idea that was that they've changed it now. They've rebranded it. So like, if you have a look at the Ribbit, so this is the Ribbit Twitter page. If you look up, right, like the R is twisted around. So if you mirror it, it's Tibber.
Tibber.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, and this ties in, with the invert, always invert. Here they're inverting again. They rebranded their whole website to do this like reverse R and like, do the rebels kind of imagery and kind of showing the links between all their companies that they have. And honestly, like, I think that there's something there. Now
This is compelling.
It's
truly very much like their ethos.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So their ethos is right. Like, it takes money to change money. And they're presenting a new way of money here, fair launch. Anyone can get access from day one. No insider bags. The dev wallet. The dev wallet has never claimed its fees, and it's got over $1 million in Bitcoin in the dev wallet and like $1 million of Tibber, and they've never claimed it. So if this was like, some rug, that was money sat right there, right? Like, you could take that and ride off into the sunset. Like, one of the things is like, as attention to Tibber grew, like, no one from Ribbit Capital ever said that, guys, this is not our thing. And it's been 1.5 years, and there's been no denial or no distancing, and people have come out with some really wild and outlandish theories, but they've never come out and denied it. So that, of course, there's some theories about why that is. So the theory that I have is that they're waiting for regulatory clarity, whether that's actually the Clarity Act passing, that we don't know, because that's going to change how companies can launch tokens and how they can launch crypto products. And these guys are involved in actually, this is just, it just goes deeper and deeper. So there's a lawyer from Ribbit Capital called Jessie, and she's on a podcast that's on Unchained, with Laura Shin. It's called Dex in the City, and it's just lawyers who are in crypto and they're talking crypto. And in there, she's actually talking about how she talks to the SEC and how they have links with the SEC about trying to get this clarity stuff done and innovation exemption stuff. So my theory is that we expected clarity to pass a long time ago, and I think that Ribbit were waiting for the Clarity Act to pass. It hasn't passed yet. But the thing that hasn't happened as well is, Hester Peirce said that they were going to do something called an innovation exemption, which was kind of like, setting rules from the commission instead of legal rules that then can be overturned, if the next president doesn't want those rules, they can overturn them right away. So it's not quite as solid as law, like actually passes Congress, but it's still, legally, like, defensible to say, hey, I was just following the SEC's information. And that, I think what happens is, if it looks like the Clarity Act is not going to pass, then the SEC will come out with the innovation exemption. And I think that will be the green light for unstealthing, potentially. Like, that's just my speculation about what it might be. So yeah, that's a lot that I've talked about right there. Please ask me your questions. Let me clarify.
So
things.
I have a question. So maybe you mentioned this, but just want to ask about it. The Robinhood chain is now launched. We have this lore, this connection between Mickey and the founder. Obviously, they helped them out in the past. We now see that, Robinhood also is kind of pushing their chain in a direction of, AI agents, agentic trading, all these other things. On top of that, you also see that Virtuals is very involved with Robinhood, and potentially the connection between the two could be Mickey. I mean, I don't know who else, out of the Virtuals camp is really, deep in with the Robinhood team. And I've always wondered, like, who made that introduction for them? Like, how did they even get this sort of like launch partner integration, whatever? Shout out Renga. But I didn't really know, like, how did they get connected? And it seems now from listening to this, wow, like potentially that connection could be Mickey. He obviously used, if he did, if the lore is true and he did use the Virtuals platform to launch Tibber, and, he obviously is familiar with Virtuals. He would have been familiar with what they're doing, their ethos, their background, all of that good stuff. It's a decentralized community with no centralized team or anything like that. It's more of just the community members, core contributors adding. So that seems to be bullish and what he wants. And so it just kind of, so all of that to say, are we only waiting on the Clarity Act, or is the Robinhood chain like kind of another milestone reached that got us closer to finding out what Tibber actually is?
I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know, right? Like, all I can do is, we as a community can kind of like hazard guesses, and some of those, over time have been maybe right. Like, we don't know, they could potentially turn out to be right. Some of those, the direction that we were kind of heading in might not be right. And maybe probably are not right, the early ideas that we had. But the honest fact is, like, unless you're Mickey Malka or like, someone deeply involved with him, no one knows. All right. And that's the crux of the whole thing. Right now, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the bull and bear case, but there are a few things that I think about what this might be, and how that might be bullish or how that might be bearish. But the reality is that we don't know, and that is why the token price is what it is right now. Is there's hope that it could be something, but there's also the risk that it could be nothing. That's why the price is $100 million, $120 million, whatever it is right now, and not higher or lower. But I'd love to talk to you guys about my ideas about what could happen next, if you want to hear that.
Yeah, I also want like bull, bear, and base case. I want the bull case that's gonna make us look at you like, all right, you're a moon boy who holds a bag. I want a bear case that's gonna make the community come out and be like, dude, I thought you were one of us, but I'm pissed. And I want a base take that's like, okay, realistically, maybe they stay in stealth for forever, and like what happens at that case. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to do that right now, but I would be interested to get that.
I'm happy to do that. Yeah. So here's the bear case, right? The bear case is, one, it stays in stealth forever. We stop getting any kind of tidbits, informations, nods and winks, people posts, Raoul Pal mentions, all that kind of stuff. That all goes away, right? And eventually the community will just get tired of waiting, and they'll, sell one by one and drop off. There won't be a community left anymore, except the crazies, and there won't be people holding bags anymore. The price will go to zero, right? That's one option. That is, there's a chance that could happen, right? Like, if whatever, we don't know what's happening in the back end, right? If something changes for Ribbit Capital, they could just not say anything ever, and they've never put anything formally on the line. Like, there's nothing to say that this right. We can't be like, fuck you, Mickey, like you screwed us over, because he'd be like, I didn't literally say anything. You know what I mean? Like right. that it's possible. Like, I'm not saying it's not possible. Another is that Ribbit Capital say, hey, this is a LARP. Sorry, we let it go on for so long. We were just fucking around on virtuals, and we didn't mean to do this, and it kind of got ahead of itself, and we couldn't say anything about it for legal reasons. But now that blah 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 whatever, we can say that this was just Mickey having some fun on the night and just playing around, and launched a token that isn't anything. Sure. Then if that tweet comes out or that message comes out, token goes to zero. So the chance of that happening, I think, are not likely, because that could have happened at any time between now and a year and a half ago, and I don't think that's likely. Now the next thing is, they come out and they say, oh, this is our product, and it's something shit, right? And now this is where there's a range of just how shit the product is, that will then impact what the token price does. If it's and
we've seen this, like, shit product with a great crack founder with lots of connections still, maybe gets a lot of venture capital money or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like one example is Keto, right? Like the L1, it ran in stealth for a few weeks, and then the guy, who launched it was attached to Google, and it ran up to like nearly $1 billion. And then once the mainnet launched, I don't think people were that happy with what it was, and the price went down, and it's yo-yoed a little bit, but now it's at under 100 million. So that's a possibility. So they release their roadmap, the price goes up, the product isn't something that people want or need, or isn't useful, the price goes down. So that what the announcement might be kind of has that range in there. It could go to $1 billion, it could go to 2 billion. I'm not saying it's going to, it could go down to 50 million. It's just what the community in the the crypto market thinks the worth of that will be is somewhere in there. Now, the next thing, and the reason why Tibber is my biggest bag by far, and why I kept adding more and more Tibber, 10 million, and then 20 million, and then 30 million. I built my whole bag. I bought another bag, another bunch around 100 million, and that's my bag. I've got my Tibber bag, and I'm set. And the reason why I have that is because there's this idea that Tibber could actually be something. Now, the company would be like, hey, Tibber's coming out of stealth today, and this is what it is. We're going to be like the Visa of on-chain identity and bridging, on-chain actions and TradFi, and it's all going to run through Ribbiter, and every transaction we make burns some Tibber, blah blah blah, and it's amazing, right? Like if that comes out, and if they say something along those kind of lines, the market will instantly see, hey, this kind of network is worth a lot, and the token will reprice immediately. So, in a lot of these situations, there's, the immediate reprice downwards, to zero, depending on what they say. There's some kind of market trying to figure out what's going to happen. And then there's the bullish scenarios where, they actually come out with a really, really well-informed product that's actually working or very close to working. And people are just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, we never thought we needed this, but now we think about it, this is fundamental. This is crucial, like pumps. And those are, the possible paths. My bet, of course, is on one of the more bullish side things. Whether it's going to be foundational technology, that's yet to be seen. Whether it's to be something good technology, tokens can go up to billions of dollars. We've seen a lot of tokens go up to billions of dollars, even though they might not be incredible, but they're still good. Do you know what I mean? So there's that possibility as well. So those are the things that I try to think about, and I've kind of attached percentage odds to those before, but that's just me pulling numbers out of the air. Like, 5% chance this happens and 10% chance this happens, and whatever. But like, you guys need to, the people who are listening to this, they need to think about it themselves. Like, why are we where we are right now? Based on what everything Mickey and Ribbit have said about other things, kind of on the sides of Tibber, and what could this be? That's up to you guys to kind of go and figure out yourselves, and try to think, what might come from this. But my bet is that there is something here, something big here, and if that happens, Tibber can move really well. Now, it's $100 million. I'm already 200x up on my first buy. No, way more than that. I'm 500x up on my first buy. So, that was a really small buy. Like, it was one of my biggest regrets. I bought a teeny tiny amount, and I'm just like, oh, well, yeah, I bought more. I could have retired, blah blah.
It's always the biggest regret.
Yeah, but I was throwing money at everything that launched, so it was like just through play money basically, and this became something. And like, at the peak, I was up over 2000x on my first buy.
It's crypto.
And I don't do anything, and I'm still not selling that. That bag is my kids' retirement bag. So yeah, but that's the thing. Now let me just present one scenario to you, Chill and Dom. Like, if you guys will give me a second to do this, right? Think of this. Tibber comes out of stealth, right? Right now, there's some liquidity issues. Like, the main pool is the Virtuals pool. It's got $1 million of liquidity in there, a little bit more than that. Then there's a couple of aerodrome pools that have got, some more liquidity in there. It does $1 million, 2 million of volume a day right now. It's not a too high a period, but in the past, it's done more than $10 million of volume a day. Now, if Tibber gets unstealthed and it's even moderately decent as a product, on day one, I think we'll see Coinbase, Robinhood, and others like tier one exchanges list Tibber right away, because it's going to have this hype and attention. That's one thing, right? So the roadmap is out and it's something decent. Instantly, we get tier one listings, which brings liquidity with it, which brings market makers with it, for better or worse. And another thing that we're going to get is that all these rebels, that you see on the Rebel Capital website, Brian Armstrong, Vlad from Robinhood, you get, Vlad from Lighter, all of these really well-known names that people, think might integrate with Tibber, on day one will come out and say, hey, this is my mate Mickey's project, and it's absolutely amazing. Now, we've seen what one tweet from, some of these guys can do to the market. Now, imagine what happens if all of them are tweeting about the same thing on the same day. What might happen then? So these are the kind of things, this is the headspace that I'm living in. And I might be, crazy, insane moon boy, but I've been talking about Tibber literally since day one, and it might be bag bias. So please keep all of that in mind, when you're hearing me say these things. Go out there, do your research. I think, honestly, the chances here of having something special is more than...
What I think is interesting about this play here specifically is I don't know if you even need to execute on it right now. I guess the question is how many insiders eat it up before if there is any news that's coming with this. But I think the nice thing is you could kind of add this to a watch list, add, the specific people, Mickey, Ribbit Capital, to a watch list. And if it happens, you'll still be early, you know, even if you get there the first day, if you like reposition the first day,
Exactly.
of course, assuming it's not front run completely by insiders or something like that. But you know, you'll have time to read it, digest it, and if it is something big and Rebel Capital is really implementing it, you know, maybe it goes to $1 billion. You can still position at 100, 200, 300 million and like have that upside. So, yeah,
It's honestly, like, you know, I think that it makes sense to buy at least a small position just for the risk reward ratio here. And then once you start learning about Ribbit Capital, and you know, a huge shout out goes to the Ribbit Hole, which is our community that we have on Twitter, you know, in DMs. Twitter DMs is Ribbit Hole, you know, altcoinist is in there and a whole bunch of other. Actually, you know what's really funny? We added Mickey Malka on day one and he never left. So we have this like little joke that, you know, he's going to come in there one day and just say Gribbit. And that's going to be the signal for all of us to just throw everything we have possibly at Tibber. But that's just like my little head canon fantasy thing there, is that, you know, he'll come and say hi to us first. Yeah. You know, we are very much the case that this community is believers. You know, at times people think that we are deluded, which maybe you might be. People think that we spew a lot of mumbo jumbo, which we might do. The fact is, like, you know, if you separate the community, you know, of us kind of crazy people, and you just take it based on the objective facts on the ground, you know, the undisputable facts, you know, the SEC filings, the mentions from Beeple, Mickey Malka's wallet, all of these things, like just looking at those things alone, I think it makes sense to take at least some kind of position. And I'm not telling you to buy. I'm not, you know, do your own risk, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, I told you upfront that all of this is speculation. Like, you know, you guys need to figure it out yourselves, right? And I've tried to make it clear about what is speculation and what is objective fact. I think that the risk reward here is too good to not have at least a small position in Tibber. That's me.
That's a perfect way to end that statement.
Absolutely, yeah. So, you know, if you want more information, like the Tibber community, like I said, is extremely passionate. We are zealots, you know, we're a cult, like whatever you want to call, like all of those things. But everyone's super kind and super friendly. So if you tag Tibber in your question on Twitter, somebody will be there within seconds trying to help you, trying to answer your question. You know, we're trying to let people know like what we know, and sometimes people try to get, you know, a bit bullish, and that's fine. I'm bullish too, but you know, you gotta kind of understand that, you know, this is a community of really excited people who think they've got something big here, so they're really passionate about it, really effusive about it. But you know, like I said, like anchor your research in what is objective, what is undeniable fact, and then use that as a basis for you know, what you think should or might come next.
Man, I really appreciate you coming on and giving us the thesis. I mean, this I've seen Tibber on the timeline so many times, and I'm like, I've always said, I'll look into it. And what the beautiful thing about, you know, being on stream here is that we have guys like you that can come on and can like give us the full thesis, and we can dig into it as deep as we want to. This has been amazing. And I never realized that the lore went so deep. But I mean, shout out the shout out the Solomon Lab guys. You know, they plugged you in, and they weren't lying, man. You are absolutely cracked when it comes to the thesis here. On Tibber.
Yeah, like once again, you know, I started this section with a shout out to Altcoinist, and again, you know, everything that I've told you, like so much of what we've talked about comes from Altcoinist. A couple of other frogs that I want to give shout outs to is Rocket Doc, absolute legend, sleuth, really smart guy. There's also people like Frog Hybrid and Neo, and like a bunch of other guys. Like they're just really cool. Also, if you get in Tibber now, and if we invite you to the Ribbit Hole, when Tibber reaches $1, we're all going to Bali to party. So get in now and come join us in Bali when the time comes.
Let's go. I have to ask one thing I've been saying too is this wallet comparison. Okay. Oh, not that picture right here. We're seeing this wallet. I guess there's a wallet token that launched on Robinhood recently. There's some speculation around if it's.
I can tell you more about that too.
Yeah, maybe talk about the speculation there. But I've been seeing people compare this to Tibber, and if you guys think there's a comparison, so I'm curious to get your take, Whack. But maybe give us the lore here first, Chill.
Yeah, I mean, TLDR is that wallet could either be connected to the person who launched it anyway, could be connected to Vlad himself or the Robinhood team. That's really just a TLDR. There's like a whole thesis. I actually wrote about it on my Twitter, so I can pull it up once after this interview, and we can dive into it deeper. But yeah, that's really the lore. The deployer wallet was I think funded via a wallet that was controlled or associated with Vlad or the Robinhood team.
Yes. But I think what Alcoinist makes a really good point here, and we've seen this happen a lot, in the year and a half that Tibber's been around, is, it quickly became the number one token on virtuals. So every token that was launching kind of tried to piggyback on that mindshare that the Tibber community was bringing. And it's one of the things that really kind of pissed off some Tibber community members, because we're like, your project literally has nothing to do with Tibber or like what we're kind of talking about here, but you're using the name of Tibber to try to give yourself a little bit of hype and attention. And, we've seen it fail many, many times and not be real many, many times. So I think, we've just kind of developed a thick skin to people trying to compare new tokens to Tibber. And I think, there is a scope, there is a place there for stealth launches in crypto, but it's really risky. Like, I think there's a fine balance between dropping enough breadcrumbs that people can latch onto, form the basis of a law and a community, versus not dropping any information at all and just letting something happen. And that is such a fine line to kind of straddle that it's really difficult for projects to do. So even if there's something real there, it doesn't mean that, your investment's going to work out, because they just might not be good at kind of giving the community enough information to keep them right on the edge. So, yeah.
Well, you know what? This has been a pleasure, Whack. I think we got to get you at least a big Tibber banner or frog to put on the back of your walls here. I see you're going for the.
I'm in Airbnb. I'm on vacation right now, but when Ranga told me about this, I'm like, yes, I will do it while I'm on vacation. Like, I really want to talk to everyone who wants to hear about Tibber. I'm happy to talk about it. And like I said, there's so many great community evangelists that any one of us could come and talk about Tibber, and like we've all got this law down, and we love talking about Tibber and love talking about Ribbit Capital and like what could be, and those moon boy scenarios are fun sometimes. So I'm happy to talk about it.
Well, there is a strong community behind Tibber, and we welcome them to leave. We're gonna drop this full segment, leave the comments on their theses, their articles and threads, and get all the information condensed in one place. But very, very cool stuff, Whack. It's a lot to think about. It's a compelling narrative. Like it is pretty compelling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How it manufactures into the chart when like one of the many outcomes starts to, I don't know, come to life is going to be interesting to watch. So we appreciate you coming on and breaking it down for us. Really helpful.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Very good. Sweet. Talk soon.
Thanks, Whack. Take care.
All right. There it was. Again, shout out to Solomon Labs boys hooking it up. Truly, Whack. I mean, he did. He came with the yeah, he's like a dictionary. You kind of just plug it in. You can find all the information. What do you think, Chill? Are you a believer?
Dude, look, hear me when I say this, guys. I am always a believer, a dreamer, an optimist at heart.
This is true.
And when I see the community, for me, is signal. When it's one thing to see like the like 50K KOL, 50K follower KOL account that comes out with a full thesis post about a certain thing or whatever. That's one type of signal. The other, more stronger, more powerful signal is an army of 300-400 follower, 300 to 400 to 500, 600 follower accounts, these low follower accounts that are doing on-chain analysis, on-chain DD. They're writing up these like huge thought pieces. It's one thing for a KOL to do that. They're incentivized to do that. A lot of times the thing for these tokens is distribution. So if you have a large following, the distribution is there. But for a smaller account, the incentive there is you're driven by passion. You're driven by, there's something about this thesis that connects with you deeply, and you want to get the word out, even though it might not be to a 50K, a 50K following. You want to let the people that you want to know about it, right? So, when I see the communities like a Tibber, for example, where these like smaller following guys, it's just a bunch of like community members, bro, bag working. It's a community of aligned bag workers, and they're driven by passion. They're like, hey man, like I'm really passionate about this. I want everyone to know. I mean, dude, we see how Whack came on here, bro. And you know what? Just for comedic purposes, I'll throw this back up there. Throw this back on screen real quick. You saw how Whack came up here, man, and you saw how passionate he was about the thesis, how well read he was on the topic, how much DD he did himself, and of course, he's going to put his money where his mouth is. If he's so passionate, he's came with the full disclaimer. Hey, look, I was one of the first 10 buyers. Like, dude, like I've held and I've bought more and like, et cetera, et cetera. He's literally, so when you see a community of people that's this passionate about something, I don't fade that signal, bro. I do not fade that signal, because at the end of the day, I've made the most money in crypto when I pay attention to the community signal, and I've actually believed and dived in myself and did the DD myself. That's where I've made the most in my whole time in this space. And so I'm actually going to pull up real quick the wallet thesis.
Good streams today though. Yeah, let's do some Robinhood analysis. Get some thoughts on a few of those tokens. I didn't know Tendies flipped Cash Cat. I haven't been tapped into the lore there either. So maybe getting your take on that after wallet thesis here.
Yeah, I think while we do the wallet thesis, Top Fumbler, can you give me the Tendies lore? It's basically like a 4chan slash WSB meme that's like super aligned with core Robinhood culture. So that's basically that. Here is the thesis around wallet, and I'll show you this. And if you guys want something on, if you guys want more information on wallet, you guys should follow this guy Whisper Alpha. But he's been doing a lot of like on-chain like DD. But basically here he said, I found something super interesting. I went deep into the blockchain. The Vlad Tenev wallet from Arbitrum Scan is this one. This wallet was funded by the wallet who deployed the coin wallet. So Vlad's wallet was funded by the wallet that deployed the wallet token. All right. Now let's dig even further. It was also funded and interacted with another wallet. And this wallet belongs to Nomuja on OpenSea, which belongs to Seongli.eth. Seongli is the product manager at Robinhood. So there is no doubt that wallet has been, well, he says that there's no doubt that the wallet token hasn't been launched. But that's the beginning of the lore, is that there's this connection between wallets that have been publicly disclosed. There's also another post that he actually did on this as well. And here's what he says. Here's the kind of full lore. The most important thread you'll read this year. Spent days tracing wallet on Robinhood chain. Here's what I found. It started with Vlad himself. He said on July 8th that we need a robust wallet for a robust chain. A year before, he mentioned a wallet on Arbitrum Scan. In this tweet, he linked here. And this wallet was funded by this AA33 wallet, the same wallet deployed wallet on Robinhood chain. So essentially, like a year ago, Vlad sort of like doxed his wallet through Arbitrum Scan. I guess there was like a video that came out, or like a test transaction that they were doing on Arbitrum, and through this tweet, they kind of came out with his wallet got doxed anyway. So that's where this whole thing. So the same wallet deployed. So that wallet that they used for that test Arbitrum transaction was funded by the same wallet that deployed the wallet token. Okay, so that's the first piece. The second piece, I traced that deploy wallet back through multiple chains. On Arbitrum, it received funds from a few other wallets. That wallet was funded by this Richard Wrightsfield, which is the senior iOS engineer at Robinhood. Okay. Then I found the connection to Vlad's mentioned wallet, tracing it back 375 days ago. Put that in Arkham, click the labels, Ethereum first funder, Nomuja on OpenSea, which is again that same head project manager on Robinhood. So this is not like speculation as far as, oh, well, I think or whatever. These wallets are clearly connected in some way, shape, or form. And some of these wallets have been ID'd to be, Robinhood team members. And one of them was also a test wallet from Vlad himself. And that's what he says here. We have 3 confirmed Robinhood team members connected to the wallet deployer. Now let's go deeper on Robinhood chain itself. The wallet deployer received 0.15 ETH just before deploying the token. That address received ETH at block 34. Block 34, the chain had just started producing blocks. You cannot be earlier than that. The block 34 wallet has 0 incoming transactions on record, not in the Genesis JSON, no internal transactions, no balance history. It simply had ETH from the very beginning of the chain. This is ARB-OS level initialization funded by Robinhood at the infrastructure layer before block 1. So not only are wallets connected, not only is the wallet deployer, the wallet token deployer connected to multiple Robinhood team members, this wallet that was funded that they're talking about here was funded at the infrastructure level. It wasn't like ETH was sent to the wallet. This was funded at the infrastructure level because it happened before it was had ETH in it before blocks were even being made, basically. That same block 34 wallet was also funded the Paxos hot wallet. Paxos is the issuer of USDG on Robinhood chain, custodian for PayPal and MasterCard, regulated trust bank with a national charter. Robinhood pre-funded their infrastructure partner from the very first blocks at block 41. This is not a trader. This is the chain operator. Notice anything else about these 2 addresses. They share the same middle section. This is a vanity address pair. Someone generated these deliberately. Institutional operators do this to visually identify their own wallets. Then I found the final piece. I looked up at who deployed the entire Robinhood chain on Ethereum. The Robinhood chain deployer, last 4 is 30 CA. Its Ethereum first funder on Arkham was last 4 9649. The same wallet that funded the wallet token deployer is the wallet that funded the address that deployed the whole Robinhood chain. That is crazy. So the wallet, whoever launched wallet token, the deployer wallet, is the same people that deployed the whole Robinhood chain. Let that sink in for a second. So in going along with Wack's kind of approach to the Tibber thesis, we don't know what this token is. We don't know what this token represents. We don't know, exactly what it will do or what it will mean in the future, if it has utility or whatever. All we're taking note of right now and giving credence to is the on-chain due diligence that's been done. And I'm assuming all of this is correct. I mean, this guy has been writing posts for 2 weeks now. He was the reason I found the wallet token in the first place. The complete chain of evidence. Robinhood Master Ops wallet funded Robinhood chain deployer, deploy the entire chain infrastructure. It funded the Paxos hot wallet. Again, Paxos is the people that provide the infrastructure for USDG on Robinhood chain. It funded the wallet token funding wallet. It funded the wallet deployer, right? So literally, and then if the last thing you look at is the timing, apparently, when you look. May 15th, deployer wallet funded 7 weeks before mainnet. July 1st, Robin chain went mainnet. July 10th, wallet deploys 9 days after launch. They waited, watched the chain stabilize, and pulled the trigger. This was deliberate plan, legal clearance obtained. This was a post-launch deliberate decision, not an accidental or test token. Robinhood made a conscious choice to deploy this token 9 days after mainnet. They had legal clearance. So, yeah, this could be for chain governance. It could be to airdrop to 29 million Robinhood users. It could be replacement for Robinhood Gold. I also heard there was a tweet. I also heard that there was a tweet as well that basically Vlad had said the very day, the day before or the day of the wallet deploy, Vlad said, Vlad said a robust chain needs a robust wallet, and then the wallet token deployed, right? The wallet token was launched. So yeah, there's a lot of I heard this. There's a lot of lore behind this, and I mean, look, if this is the Robinhood team, and if this does, remind us of Tibber, and if Tibber and the guy behind Tibber, Mickey, is connected to Robinhood, who better to give them the same Tibber playbook than the guy behind Tibber, quote unquote, behind Tibber himself, right? So again, I'm more of an optimistic person. I'm more of a person that, hey, like, I kind of want to lean into this narrative. Like, it only takes one tweet or one interaction that really that really confirms that this is something that's true, right? It only takes one. And once that's done, that's done. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that's some DD there for you guys on wallet. And I think it's probably, like, to be honest, I think after reading all of that, I think I might make it like one of my main bags on Robinhood. I mean, that was supposed to be freaking, Noxa, but obviously we saw how that turned out. But yeah, I got this. Here's the chart on this as well. Here's the chart on this. So I initially got in down here at about 700K. When it first, somewhere right here, got in at like 700K. I tweeted about it and everything. It came out, but then there was like some FUD about it and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Meme coins are running. Meme coins are hot. Let me just focus on that for now. And I sold somewhere like, somewhere like up here. So it was a clean, 6X or something like that. Nice little move. Now it's sort of like retraced, like this whole thing, like you see this right here. This whole sell-off, I was like, oof, like there's some FUD or something around there. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to jump back in. So I just kind of let things clear. But now that the air is clear, the chain kind of stabilized after all of the Noxa FUD. I think I might actually like take a much deeper look at this. But yeah, that's the full thesis there. I think this is probably one of the better bets on Robinhood. I mean, literally you have a token connected to the Robinhood team. That's not even speculation.
I think even if like the tech and utility is not good, maybe you could even just like, it could be like a meme as one of the, not even a meme, but just like this wallet that launched Robinhood. This is the only token it's launched on the Robinhood chain. Like, is there value in that? I don't think so, but like I've seen narratives like that pick up, the first to launch on Robinhood or blow. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, like same, like I like, sometimes there might not be a lot of credence to this stuff. But actually, no, I take that back. No, I take that back. I would disagree with Dom here, unfortunately. On what? I think that these types of narratives, like they kind of like they tend to run, and they tend to if they get memeified, like this can have a meme like a meme premium on the Robinhood chain, right? Like just like Tibber ran to. I mean, Tibber's like 100 mil plus right now, right?
That's what I'm saying though. Like even if they don't have a
Yeah.
great product, like it might still run because it was launched by the same wallet that the Robinhood chain was deployed by. Right? Like, even if it has a terrible product, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't think we disagree.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe we don't. Maybe I misheard you. But yeah, no, this is solid, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty bullish on I'm pretty bullish on stonks. I know that the Discord is super bullish on stuff like tendies. We've been bullish on tendies since like 120K, and that's at like 16 mil right now. So clean low 50x for the boys. So there's that. I think stonks is a pretty obvious narrative as well. There's two other things that I want to talk to you guys about. And then Dom, you let me know if there's anything that you want to
just keep it going. The only thing I want to cover is pump, because it has pumped into these unlocks. And I think I remember specifically saying there is such thing as bullish unlocks. And we've seen this in the past, and it has been a bullish unlock so far.
Got you. And there's also some extra lore inside of our Discord on the pump, by the way.
That's gonna stay in the Discord for the lucky ones in the Discord. It'll stay there because it's
Oh, yeah. Got you. Got it. Good call.
As per request.
All right. So here's another thing. So first off, there's a token called Beggar on Robinhood. Now this Beggar token basically launched like a while back, right? Like this was like one of the first like 3 token launches on the whole chain, right? So this is the Beggar token. Obviously it's gone up, it's gone down, whatever. It has some sort of like, deflationary mechanism or something like that. That's not the point. I'm not really paying attention to that. Here's what I found. The Beggar token potentially could be now ran by the Noxa dev. Okay, so yeah, I know. Hear me out. So here's some on-chain DD by this guy. I don't know who he is. Chinese guy, not really sure. But here's what he says. I found some. Okay, I apologize. This may not be Chinese, but someone of Asian descent, I would assume. I found something interesting about the Beggar token. I bet you guys don't know who owns this Twitter account. I'll tell you straight up with the most direct answer. That Twitter account is in the hands of Noxa founder Amun Phantom, the guy who vanished for a week. And he basically has some of these screenshots. And in one of these screenshots of TG, you hear the question, any lore for Beggar? Yeah, we need to invite the lore master. I just launched it for fun. But
this guy launched so many tokens, bro.
But the idea was from a friend. So essentially, we see that it's confirmed. This guy launched this token. Now, yeah, same with you. I have no idea. Now, I think Beggar also has some sort of like Robinhood lore, because I guess, Robinhood's story, he's taking money from the rich, giving it to the poor. And so I guess there's some beggar somewhere that, potentially he gave, some money to or something like that. But there's some sort of lore within the actual Robinhood story, right? And then I guess the tweet, you already see him commenting on the tweets that are posted, right? 1.4% of the supply about to get burned. The tweet happened at 10 a.m. and at 10:01, the founder was in his Telegram, kind of talking about how much was burned, right? So there's obviously a connection there, at the very least, at a communication level between whoever was behind the token and the Noxa founder from a Twitter standpoint, from a posting standpoint. But it's kind of makes more sense that he was the one that was actually tweeting it out and then kind of quote unquote shilling it in his Telegram.
So if you want to be brutally raped by Noxa twice now, here's your chance.
So the account is controlled by him. The token was launched by him. You even see him quote tweeting it right here as well from his own Twitter account. So I say all of that to say, what does this all mean? Well, I posted a thesis the other day, and you actually just saw this tweet of mine go out. I scheduled it to go out, but here's the thesis, and we talked about this earlier, I believe this week a little bit. But I said the Robinhood Black Swan, the Noxa rug, essentially, it just created a whole new opportunity set. It feels like memes from Noxa will turn into OG on-chain historical relics. Now that 100% of the fees generated will go to CTO teams and creators, participants are incentivized to CTO these relics. You can get paid to bring these tokens back to life. These Noxa coins are being crystallized in Robinhood on-chain history. Time to make a list and wait for CTO teams to identify the opportunities and do their thing. And so I basically came out with this tweet to say, like, hey, look, these are the first out of the first, like, I think 15 days or the first, like, 2 weeks on chain. Well, I shouldn't say 2 weeks on chain. The first 2 weeks since people were bridging, right? So this is leading up to the launch of Robinhood mainnet. These are all the tokens that were launched on Noxa. And not all of these, this is using Dex Screener, so not all of these are Noxa tokens themselves. Like Marion was launched separately, but there you go. You see Beggar there. You see Kitsu. You see Stonks. Stonks for me, by the way, that for me is like bang, bang. Like Stonks is my number one bet right now from a meme coin standpoint.
It's an OG meme. It's the
OG meme.
Wall Street bets meme.
And it's super aligned with Robinhood, and it's one of the earlier tokens that were launched. So really betting that there's a CTO team that comes in, and for any one of these tokens, really, they can earn all 100% of creator fees. So why would the Noxa dev disappear from Noxa, give 100% of fees back to the community, and run a token himself? Because he can make money. He essentially didn't give up all of the opportunity with the Noxa launchpad.
Only $2 million a day.
He gave up a lot of it, but to recoup some of that he lost, he could essentially run a token himself and run that up and then earn all the fees from it through the CTO creator fees, right? So I say all of that to say not just Noxa, but anyone who runs any of these tokens are incentivized to do so because they get all of the fees kickback. And you see what else is on this. You see what else is also on this this chart here. Tendies, right? You see that in the middle there? Tendies. Won't you look at the Tendies chart right now? Huh? Won't you look at the Tendies chart right now? Absolutely, absolutely running. And guess what? Yesterday, I heard this is where someone CTO'd. I heard that was where someone CTO'd. So I say all of that to say if the memes make sense from a lore perspective, whether it's lore on Robinhood, whether it's lore on chain or what have you, if it makes sense to me, I feel like these tokens will replicate what Tendies is doing, because these are memes of a different origin, of a different background. They're not just launched by some deployer, bundler, or whatever with a 24-hour narrative. This is like being etched into Robinhood on-chain history. Some of these memes, I think Tendies is one of them. Obviously, you see Cash Cat is on here, down here, right? And there's a few of these as well that are up here that I think probably will continue to run. So yeah, I say all that to say that's the lore, that's the thinking behind the beggar thesis, and I think that's also the thinking behind a lot of these other tokens that could potentially catch a bid.
What's up with the Discord, Jill? Tetsuo is wondering.
Tetsuo, I'll hit you up, bro. I'll slide in your DMs, brother. Right now, invites are paused. So interesting thing about the Discord, actually, after we locked the Discord, people were passing around the OG link, getting their friends and family in, like getting their homies in. So we actually stopped at like 400, and I think there's like 480 people in there now, because people were like getting like referred in, and people were slowly like getting the link that was used. So I actually had to like shut down all of the links that we sent out, which was like, it was like 50 links or so. And there was one link that had, the altcoin is reposted. Appreciate you. Shout out the altcoinist. Shout out y'all.
At the end of the stream, we'll get you the full segment individually.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're listening, altcoinist, yeah, we'll be getting a full segment of this of the Tibber interview out probably in another couple of hours after the stream. But yeah, so that's the whole kind of like lore behind what happened with the Discord. We end up closing the invites. Invites got passed around. I ended up pausing invites to the server. That didn't work, so I had to just like, revoke all the invitations, and that stopped. So we'll open up the Discord at some point to the public once again, but you won't have access to all
just
of the,
ironing it out, man. Ironing it out.
we're just trying to iron things out here. All right. All right, that's looks like slow grind up. Yeah, boy. It's another one. I think it's a little low. But I like, because it like the volume isn't there, so I don't want to like, for the sake of like manipulation, being safe, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that's doing pretty good. That's doing pretty good. Dang, wow. That's 2x off the bottom. That's 2x off the bottom there, Top Fumbler. All right. You can go through the pump stuff, Brody, if you want to go ahead and shoot. And
yeah, I don't. Sure, I don't got much on it. But let me pull up pump chart real quick. Obviously, the fear with pump here was everyone was saying, pump fun, and I'll pull up my chart. Fear with pump fun here is everyone was saying, okay, we got these looming unlocks. They're gonna come. Insiders are gonna dump and rape us, right? TLDR. Of course, pump chart looks rough, down only, but it is starting to give that rounding bottom. I think RR becomes like really interesting here. Like, look how we've held up. I'd say in the last here. Let's see. I mean, over the last 200 days, 150 days, we've literally ranged in like a 20-30% range for the entire time. So I think like generally downside becomes pretty limited here, especially knowing the buybacks Pump Fund continues to do. Now the risk for Pump Fund being Robinhood continues to dominate, and another launchpad takes the lion's share. Pump Fund's obviously Solana native launchpad, so it's going to do well on Solana. So without Solana running, launchpad thesis kind of falls apart. But people were very scared that the unlocks were going to cause just massive selling pressure. I specifically said, number one, called out Pump just at these lows on a pure price to earnings standpoint. It's trading at like a 1 to 3 price to earnings, doing 50% buybacks, $1 million in buybacks every couple days. So like, again, thesis seemed pretty obvious here. We go into the unlock. Bullish unlock indeed is happening. People were really scared, or at least on the surface level. But in reality, who's left to sell? You don't sell. What people don't understand about unlocks and why they become bullish is because what happens for big projects like Pump Fund that have unlocks coming is the insiders that hold positions that want to sell have already hedged their positions, right? They've already shorted on other markets and they've hedged their positions. So what happens is when it comes time to unlock, they just close out their short position. They just close out their hedge position. So that's all that happens. So what's actually not happening is when the time comes, they're not going in full porting, dumping on the market. They've already closed that position a long time back by simply taking the opposite side on a leveraged market. Okay. Very simple. This is how it works. This is how it works all the time. But this has been a bullish unlock. Pump Fund is looking pretty good. Again, price to earnings are pretty strong. Still a leaning launchpad. Pump Funds or Solana's seen a little bit of life. Of course, if volume picks up on Solana, this quickly goes from a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 price to earnings ratio to, even price to earnings ratio, or even better, because we know Pump Fund's going to dominate the lion's share there. So it's a fundamental trade. The unlock was not bearish. Surprise, surprise. It didn't dump us to the ground. Insiders didn't just go ahead and dump today. And no, again, that was accounted for a long time ago. And, we are pumping into this unlock. Whether we drop over the next couple of days back into this range, okay, whatever. But I think generally for Pump Fund, this is a really nice range to start looking to get a position in. If you're looking DCA, like get on Meteora, DCA this position. I know LB's been DCAing and he's making a ton of fees from it just ranging in here. So it's like, why not do that? Downside 20-30%, maybe. Upside is, this goes to multi-billions, right? So Pump Fund looking good. Nonetheless, I also think like generally in terms of markets, we're at a bottom. Like we're at a bottoming stage. The signals for a bottom are flashing. What does a bottoming signal look like for on-chain? I'm going to pull up Bitcoin again, right? what does a bottoming signal for on-chain look like? Now, we talked about Ethereum. Ethereum is obviously leading right now in terms of majors, right? It's the leading major, and it's largely because idle capital or capital that's been sitting on Solana or other chains is starting to rotate and buy into ETH to bid up Robinhood chain. And, it's been the marginal leader here for the last couple of days because of this. I relate this to similarly what happened when Trump came in and launched a meme coin and sold one from $175 to $300, right? You saw all that capital activate from elsewhere, activate from being idle, and move into Solana, pumping it up, blah, blah. Same thing seems to be happening. The only difference now than when Trump launched is Trump launched at the top of the market. We'd been running hot. We had known that Trump was going to get elected or potentially going to get elected, and we knew that that was going to lead to a crypto bull run, or at least it was perceived to do that. Didn't happen. But so that came out at the top. This now is Robinhood, the biggest retail financial app, coming in at the bottom, coming in when we could be getting a Clarity Act, coming in when, no one's paying attention. Holders are capitulating, crypto holders are capitulating crypto to rotate into equities and memory because they're blowing up, everything else, all the other asset classes are blowing up and crypto's just lagging behind so bad. And so we're in this season where capitulation's happening, sentiment's terrible. We have, we're down 50% on Bitcoin, visiting previous all-time highs in an interesting accumulation zone, right? So bottom signals are starting to flash, and now you just need the catalyst to step in and shift this momentum. And I say all this to say this is why Pump Fund's probably at a good bidding zone, along with a lot of other fundamentally strong projects that you think are bottomed out. And so, yeah, I do think we're closer to a bottom than a top, that's for sure. And I think timing, if you follow a 4-year cycle from a timing standpoint, it's aligning pretty nicely. We always front run it, right? So I would actually even go earlier. Everyone's kind of, towards the end of the year, late Q3 is when we start to bottom out. I actually think because everyone's saying that, because we front run the 4-year cycle every season, we probably actually bottom out sooner rather than later. And we're in a good zone. So moral of the story, DCA, things like Pump Fund are going to benefit from volume coming back to the market. They're at lows. If it's in a good zone, think about bidding that potentially. So yeah, that's the take. I think the signals are flashing for a bottom. We're in a good spot. Massive crypto. Yeah. So this is another thing. Like, and this is something I'm still weighing out. If we get a turn in equities, NASDAQ or, the Qs, S&P, all of that starts rolling over and we start getting a dip and equities start going down. This is bearish for crypto in the sense that crypto has always been, at least since the ETF, a little bit reactive on the market. So the market dips, crypto gets scared and dips. I think that only lasts temporarily. Okay. I think that's a very temporary thing until they decouple. And I do think they're going to decouple. And I do think it has been largely people have been sidelined, people have been sidelined on the rest of the market. People have been sidelined on the memory trade. People have been sidelined on the AI trade. People have been sidelined on the indexes going to the moon with crypto. And we're at a point where finally they've capitulated and no one's left in crypto because of the opportunity cost. And I think what happens is as we start to get that turn in the broader market, people start to shift to things that are holding up better or doing better. And if crypto is that thing where crypto's outperforming, we're going to see a lot of that retail capital rotate into it. So I do agree with this crypto catch-up trade is inbound. It's going to actually work inversely, not because I think crypto is going to catch up to the rest of the market, but because I think the rest of the market's going to come down to crypto and crypto is going to reprice up. So it's a bit of in-between situation there. But yes, I do think it's a catch-up trade. People chase green candles. We know that's the best marketing. If crypto is trending up and everything else is dumping, we will see capital rotate, just like capital rotated out of crypto to chase everything else. It'll work in the inverse as well. A lot of people are going to be offsides. Yes. Not us, Brave. Ave the Brave, Mr. Ave. But yeah, that's all I had to say, man. That's the take on Pump. Looking good. Again, like you can go through the MTG feed. We bottom tick Pump on that call, but looking good. Let's tease Friday. Virtuals Robinhood Day coming up tomorrow. You guys got to tap in. It's going to be an electric stream. If you're paying attention to the Robinhood chain, we have all the leaders on it coming on. We have Virtuals, who we know is a launch partner with Robinhood, coming on. What does that relationship look like? What does that relationship look like? How is Robinhood envisioning like the future of their chain? What are they looking for? What are the projects in the pipeline? Then we're going to go through, okay, what are the projects that are leading right now? So we have Vex coming on. Okay, Vex is a big leader. There's some I probably shouldn't say because it might give away hints, but we have Vex coming on. If I scroll through here, we have what I'm not going to mention coming on because I'm not sure what that would do, but we have a migration from Solana to Robinhood. Snapshot's already been taken, so it's not like I have insider here. But that'll be on. We have Raxel coming on. We have what else? Prize Fight coming on. And again, these are still being spun up. We still have more joining. So all the leading virtuals projects, coming on the virtuals team, it'll be great. So tune in tomorrow for that. It's going to be a banger. And yeah, today was a banger as well. We had the comic books guys come on, talk about their vision, direction of this whole gotcha machine stuff. And I think it, naturally progresses down the risk curve, you could say, to other RWAs outside of cards. We had agency come on, right? Tetsuo, shout out, Tetsuo, very big community. Elon Musk loves them. Shout out Tetsuo. And then, of course, we had Whack on to give us the full lore of Tibber, which is going to be coming out. Shout out again, Whack, Altcoinist. We referenced a lot of your stuff. All these full episodes coming out. Banger of a day, guys. We will keep pushing out content. As always, make sure you follow, make sure you like, make sure you retweet. We're doing our best over here. It's a grind. Chill, anything for the boys, for the people?
GG's, y'all. See y'all on the timeline. See you in the Discord. Tetsuo, check your DM. Love. Peace.
You can just send it in Telegram too. Peace.